Good evening. How is everybody this evening? Welcome to the Nampa City Council meeting. We have a tradition here as we get started. We have a tradition here that we open in prayer, and I'm so appreciative of Pastor Tony Johnson, who's a pastor with the First Church of the Nazarene. Tony, first of all, thank you for all you do with the Care House ministry and all that you have accomplished. Thank you so much, and thank you for opening us in prayer this evening. So let's stand. We're going to open in prayer, and then we'll let you lead us in the pledge.
I want to thank you for this opportunity to ask God's blessing, wisdom, and discernment to be real in this meeting tonight. It's an honor that I do not take lightly. I want to personally thank Mayor Kling and those in the council members who were able to make it to the grand opening of the new Care House Food Bank facility. It was an honor to have you there as we celebrated the opening of this amazing facility, which nourishes over 1,000 individuals from over 280 households every week. I also want to take personal privilege to thank the City of Nampa Department of Development for helping us along the journey of building this facility. Your engineers and inspectors worked well with us to avoid any major issues or significant oversights that could have hindered our process. So we thank them for their assistance in this journey. If you're not able to make our grand opening event, please let me know if you'd like a tour of our new food bank facility, as I'd happily lead you on one. As I come to open this meeting in prayer, the celebration of the opening of our new Care House Food Bank facility also gives me pause as I think about the community in which I live. A community in which, according to the latest census data and recent needs assessment surveys by the United Way, St. Alphonsus, and St. Luke's medical groups, nearly 15% of our community lives in poverty, and another 18% are living in an economic state called ALICE, asset limited, income constrained, yet employed. People in our community who are one car breakdown or trip to the emergency room away from having their economic situation significantly altered, such that they would soon be living in poverty. I know that most of the decisions you make as a council do not have a direct impact on the economies of our community. That responsibility weighs most heavily on our state and federal legislators. Yet there are decisions you face that will impact the sales taxes, the housing costs, the mobility expense of those living in our community. Thus, I encourage you to heed the words of Scripture, which tell those in leadership and those following the God your sign up there says you trust in, to guide your direction. Words like Proverbs 19:7, whoever is kind to the poor lends to the Lord, and he will reward them for what they've done. For Proverbs 21:13, whoever shuts their ears to the cry of the poor will also cry out and not be answered. Proverbs 22:22, do not exploit the poor, because they are poor, and do not crush the needy in court. Psalms 82:3, defend the weak and the fatherless, uphold the cause of the poor and oppressed. Deuteronomy 15:7 and 8, if anyone is poor among your fellow Israelites in any of the towns of the land the Lord your God is giving you, do not be hard-hearted or tight-fisted towards them. Rather, be open-handed and freely assist them with whatever they need. And then Isaiah 58:10, if you spend yourselves on behalf of the hungry and satisfy the needs of the oppressed, then your light will rise in the darkness and your night will become like the noonday. May these words of Scripture and the heart and character of our God guide you as you lead and make decisions for our city. Now let us pray. Father God, maker of heaven and earth, who is rich in mercy, grace, and love, thank you for encouraging and equipping these individuals to be our leaders in and for our community. Thank you for the wisdom, insight, and life experience you have gifted them with so they can guide our city. So its organizational structure, its values and priorities that guide their decisions, and the character and integrity they lead with are reflections of who you are and what matters most to you. Father, bless their marriages, their families, their businesses, so they may continue to know your good favor in and on your lives, and their lives, and bring health, healing, and strength to any of them or their family members that may be facing health issues at this time. Then, Father, give them the wisdom, the insight, the discernment they need for the decisions they face tonight and in the meetings in the future. May their decisions be, many of their decisions will be difficult and will have an impact on our community for decades to come. So speak to them, Father, so they lean not on their own understanding or presuppositions, but rather they seek out the wise counsel you and others offer to guide their decisions. so our city may continue to become a safe and prosperous community for all its residents, schools, and businesses. I ask this all in the name of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ, and that by the power of your Holy Spirit, your will be done in our community. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Pastor Tony, thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor.
for all you do, your heart of compassion and your hard work.
Thank you. It's a blessing to serve in this community.
Thank you.
Yes.
I agree with you. Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Here.
Chingula. Here. Bills. He is online. Reynolds.
Here.
Haverfield.
Here.
Griffin.
Here.
All present.
So proposed amendments to the agenda is next. We are going to be removing item 712, which is the Streets Division Building Addition, from the agenda per staff's request. We are also, just in case anyone is here, for items number 8.5 and 8.6, both of which are, I'm sorry? 8.6 and 8.7. I'm sorry. Thank you for keeping me straight. Zoning code text amendments. We will, when we get there, have a motion to postpone those to date certain of, I believe it is December 16th. So those will be moving forward. Other than that, I am not aware of any other changes to the agenda. What am I missing?
Madam Mayor, we are proposing to move 8.8 to be heard after 8.1.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. The reason for that move is that we have a presenter on 8.1 that's also presenting on 8.8, and that way there's some continuity between those. So I'm not aware of any other than those. Thank you, Shar, for helping me with those. Council, are you aware of any other proposed amendments?
Which, 7 what?
So
Number 7?
7 is 712.
712.
That is going to be pulled at this time per staff's request.
Okay.
And then 8.6 and 8.7 will be postponed to date certain of December 16th.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. And 8.1 will be moved, 8.8 will be moved following 8.1. With that, I would stand for a motion to approve the agenda with the amendments as mentioned.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. And then I would stand for a motion to approve the consent agenda as noted.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Okay. So let's move on to the next. We don't have any proclamations this evening, so we will move right into our public forum. And before we move into public forum, I do want to make note for those that are here, beginning at our next council meeting on November 4th, we are going to be beginning our meeting at 5 p.m. rather than 5:30 p.m. Public hearings will remain at 6, and this opportunity, public forum to speak, will be immediately ahead of the public hearing, so the time won't change a whole lot. That said, we want to give access to the public, but we are going to begin the meeting earlier so that we can get through staff agenda, the new business items, staff reports and new business items beginning at 5, and then the rest of the meeting will be the same. So with that, do we have people signed up for our public forum today for non-agenda items or agenda items?
Madam Mayor, we do have people signed up for non-agenda items, and we'd like to start with Robert Kuhn.
Good evening, Robert. I think you know the process to state your name and address.
My
Good
name
evening.
is Robert Kuhn. I live on Hudson Avenue, 121A Hudson Avenue. I'm up here because the music's still blasting. There are people I've talked to, an elderly lady who called the police in the past, and the police didn't do anything about that when she called. I have a neighbor who will be coming up to about this. He is still a problem. He invites his friends, blasting music. It is too loud. It has been disturbing a lot of people in the area. So,
Thank you.
You're
So
welcome.
we do have a meeting, just so council's aware, I believe it is November the 14th. It's
14th,
going to
yeah.
involve, and we'll reconfirm that. police and code enforcement to where we can talk through it and identify, but that's still a ways out.
Yeah.
And so we'll take note, and I
Okay.
believe, I don't know if the next testimony will speak to the noise and what time that noise is the next testimony about that.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Robert.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Holly Hawes.
Good evening.
Hi, I'm Holly Hawes. I live on 120 Hudson Avenue, Apartment B in Nampa. I'm going to start with a personal experience because when I was very young, I had rheumatic fever, and I ended up with a heart arrhythmia that only affects me if I allow myself to get stressed. And I've learned many things that help, like sleeping well through the night, relaxing during the day, and trying to avoid stressful situations. Well, the other night, I was following all my routines, and I haven't had a heart arrhythmia for a very long time, went to bed, and I go to sleep very quickly because I allow myself to rest for about an hour reading or whatever, so I put the tech off. And after I was sound asleep, I got woken up by the boom, 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 boom. And it's that same thing that happens during the day. My neighbor who sleeps during the night, or works during the night and sleeps during the day, has woken up from the same thing. But of course, that arrhythmia is there, and it takes me a while to get back to sleep. But it's also not healthy, and that's just my personal experience. I know that Robert also, the one that just spoke, has arrhythmias with that sudden beat, and that's what we're working on. There's another problem with dementia. Now, my mother had dementia, and so I had personal experience with her, and she did just fine one-on-one, but when there were a lot of people around, or if it got noisy, she would just panic, and she'd have to leave the room, and it was really hard for her. One of our neighbors has dementia, so I know, and they've mentioned that that's what the caregiver has mentioned about that person, that it's very challenging to calm them back down. And that can be a death sentence for somebody if they are led to a heart attack from that. And the last one I'm just going to mention, the children love that beat. And when they hear that beat, they run out in the street to see where it's coming from. And if it's going to take the death of one of those little children or one of these sweet elderly people to have things fixed, then we really haven't done our part. And I just feel like that if we could just have speed bumps or a camera that watched for speed, or we've done everything that we can think of, and we've got neighbors that are signing the petitions and things that we're working on to be speaking next month, with not here, but with privately. And we're doing all that we can, but there needs to be a way to have a little bit of funds for those speed bumps. And I know the police are overwhelmed because I hear the sirens all the time. They're working hard. There needs to be a way to, I have to tell us one last thing. There's a sign right before the school that says school zone 20 miles an hour, but from my understanding of the law, the whole area is supposed to be 20 miles an hour, and if they're speeding and then they
Madam Mayor,
slow down
time.
right there, it's not helping because that's where the little kids are. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you so much. Peter, so this meeting that we have scheduled, it's still another 3 weeks or more out. Would you please, I'd like to have the meeting without me. That way we can have it. And so if you would just tomorrow work with Kim in my office and police, let's get the meeting scheduled with code. And I know John's here. Thank you for listening. And let's go ahead and get the meeting without me, and let's get it done. That way we can figure out what to do. And thank you. I know you guys have come forward a number of times. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Margie Potter.
Mayor Kling, just before
Yes.
that, when you have a meeting with them, would you verify with them if this is a rental or if the gentleman owns his house?
That the noise is coming from? Okay, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you. Okay.
Margie Potter, 1811 North Cobble Way, Mayor and Council. I want to thank Pastor Tony for his words of prayer. in thinking of those words, I want to remind council that it is getting cold outside, and there are many families right now that are unhoused, and will start to feel the effects of the weather. I also wanted to remind the council that when council voted to not award the Salvation Army CDBG funds, there was a discussion for the city to see if there was any other funding that could happen through ARPA funds or other buckets of funding somewhere, and that would be looked at after the budget process. So this funding will make a difference as to when and how long the overnight shelter will open and stay open. And please keep this in mind when making any budget decisions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Allison Struck.
Good, because it's about the same topic.
Yes.
Okay. I have a question, so.
Okay. Allison Struck, 403 12th Avenue South in Nampa. I also wanted to update the city and the residents on the status of the emergency residential shelter. We've made the difficult decision to open later in November because of funding. We're hoping that the bright side of that is that it will allow us to be open a little bit later once we get into the winter and into 2025 for housing families, reminding the city and the residents that we currently have the only shelter that keeps families together in the same space while they are with us. And as we have funding, they can stay with us for up to 6 months while we work on getting them connected to other community resources for funding. In the meantime, we are pleased to announce that we have gone from 8 meals a week to 18 meals per week, and the extension of the day shelter so that more people are able to come. And that's going to allow us to expand the day shelter by the end of November to 7 days a week, 3 meals per day, and we will serve at that point. We're actually already serving at this point around 3,000 meals a month at the public day shelter. We're very pleased with that program, but we are very concerned with the amount of applications we're getting for the residential shelter and the fact that we have not yet been able to open. The current target date is before November 30th, depending on how all of the funding is ultimately secured. We do have enough funding that we believe we can make it work with the private funding we've had so far and some state money for 3 months. Very close to 3 months. We would really like to see it get a little closer to 4 or 5 with some continued donations from the public and hopefully with the commitment from the city for that funding that was perhaps going to come from another bucket. We're grateful to serve in Nampa. We have been able to turn our attention to hot meals because of programs like the Care House. They're taking care of food boxes, and so we can turn to hot meals and showers and laundry and getting people connected to case management. So we're grateful to serve here, but looking forward to really figuring out how to house families now that the weather is getting colder.
Thank you so much. And thank you for not replicating services, being able to focus
Yes.
since they're focusing, and thank you for providing the information. So I have a question.
Yes.
Even if you had the funding today from the city that was requested, it was in that $35,000 range, is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
Would you be opening earlier than November 30th, or does that funding go to extending you longer?
At this point, it will go to extend us longer. We were waiting for confirmation of other funding sources that
funding.
just recently came in. And so now we need to get the rest of the staff in place to make sure that it's safe for everyone. But the extension of the day shelter is helping with this because we've shuffled our own funds around so that the day shelter can be expanded all year. So we can become a hot and cold shelter all year long, and then we don't have to hire quite as many people for the overnights since the day shelter is staying open. So at this point, we're thankful that it didn't get super cold as quickly as we thought, because now we're hopeful that this will extend for when it really is very, very cold. March and April are tenuous months, and we think it will be very important for us to be open then.
Thank you. We'll be having a discussion here. So thank you so much. And then today I was at a meeting and they had extra food,
Yes.
sent it over. Do you want that?
Oh, always.
Is that good? Okay, good.
Always.
Awesome. Thank you.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any more advance sign-up.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that had intended to speak this evening that did not get signed up? Seeing none, we will go ahead and move forward into our staff communications. Public Works. Rodney. I'm sorry. Public Works first, excuse me. Sorry, Rodney, I was thinking you were first. Hi, Crystal.
Good morning, Mayor, Council. Thanks for letting me go first. I appreciate that. I have two updates for you today. The first, I called the Joint Powers Agreement discussion. So on September 19th, there was a joint City Council and P&Z Commission meeting. And at that time, Doug Critchfield gave a presentation on the Southwest area specific area plan. Excuse me. During that time, there were some questions brought up by council and by mayor regarding how we deal with maintenance of roadways, specifically those that are on the adjoining lines of our territories between cities, or if it's in our impact area and a highway district owns it. So I just wanted to kind of educate you guys and discuss how we approach these things and what we're doing currently to make sure that things are being fair and equitable across the board. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is maintenance agreements. We enter into these with both of our highway districts and the state agency, ITD, for specific roadways. We do this when it makes sense, honestly. So if we have areas where there's not continuity in ownership, so let's say Nampa Highway District owns a couple segments of road, and then there's a 1 mile segment of Nampa Road, and then more Highway District, it makes more sense for them to just continue plowing that road instead of stop, pick up their plow, and us go pick up 1 mile. And it could be the other way around as well, where we own most of the road and then they own a segment in between. So we enter into agreements for those areas saying, like, we're going to maintain, we'll stripe this, we'll plow this, and we specifically call out what duties, who is going to perform on what. We also do this for all of the state routes within the city limits. State Highway 45, obviously we've got to go down that route to get to a lot of our other city streets. Doesn't make sense for our plow to always be up, right? So we talk about these type of things. They lay out exactly what we're going to do for each. The next is road annexations. I apologize. I'm getting my voice back or reaching puberty, one or the other, from having a cold this weekend.
Would you like some water?
It's not going to help. I've been sucking on cough drops, but I left it there because I thought it'd be less professional than just hacking into the microphone the entire time. So for road annexations, more recently, we've built in a clause that says we will not annex a road anymore unless it is in good condition according to the Pavement Condition Index. So that means we're not getting roads that already require maintenance when we annex those in. And then the last thing that I wanted to talk about, oh man, it is brutal. Our shared costs. So whenever there's a regionally significant project, we enter into shared cost agreements, or just so that all of the burden doesn't fall on one specific agency. Oh man. This is awful, guys. An example that's, I've got a couple examples listed. I'm not going to go over them. Do you guys have questions on that?
Thank you. Would you like to come back, let Rodney present, then you come back?
Actually, I'm going to play an oddball and have Lindsay come up and present the airport stuff. I didn't tell her she was going to do that, so would you mind, Lindsay?
Sure she can. She'll be on it.
I have the notes here for you.
Good evening, Council. We just wanted to come and present to you guys tonight the funding that we received, or we are receiving, from the FAA for the Stormwater Retention Basin. In 2023, the Environmental Resources Division designed a retention basin for stormwater on the airport to retain the water on the airport and no longer discharge water into Mason Creek. In 2024, the FAA had announced a supplemental discretionary grant opportunity. There was $33 million available nationwide for airports our size, we thought, we'll go for it. We put in our application, and we're being awarded $1.4 million to go towards the construction of the pond. This is 1.5 times the amount of the average award. Most awards were only $929,000 for airports our size. So we're full speed ahead on this one. The FAA did mention how impressed they were with our application, and it was the only application out of the Northwest region to be funded for a GA airport. So we're pretty excited for it.
Good job. Good job, yeah.
Thank you, guys.
Now, if we can just be that fortunate to get the terminal funded,
Yes, I'm
but,
thinking good thoughts.
yes.
Yes.
I will say something, though, on the terminal funding, would you like to explain why it's so difficult to get it? Because you don't get to do what you just did. Right.
So with the terminal funding, the grant application is very, very limited. There's about 10 boxes that have 140 characters in each box. We're not allowed to submit a program narrative with it. So it's very, very hard to get your description in and what you're doing with that program. With this stormwater one, we were able to submit a fantastic narrative that really caught the eyes of our FAA project managers. So it's any support anywhere with a terminal building is appreciated and needed. So,
Yeah. Thank you.
thank you all. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you. Thank you. Now it's your turn, Rodney.
Somehow Crystal's a tough act to follow even without a voice. So I just wanted to report back on a couple of public hearings well, 4 public hearings that were had by the Planning and Zoning Commission this last week. The first one is Stockyard District Business Park preliminary plat, and that is near 2nd Street and South Chicago Street. And that one was approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission. And essentially, it's a business park with 12 commercial lots and 1 common lot.
What was the location of that again?
It's the old stockyard off of 2nd Street in like Chicago. You know where that's at? If you follow 3rd Street all the way down to 16th,
Yeah.
turn left on 16th and go right on 2nd Street. You follow 2nd Street out there, that kind of industrial area near the... Yeah.
Comes out, yeah. Oh, interesting, thank you.
The next one was the Swainson's Hawk Arbor subdivision. This was an annexation to RS6 and a preliminary plat. This one is directly off of Greenhurst between Middleton and Midland, and that one was recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission to City Council. The original concept is 146 single-family detached dwelling lots and 15 common lots. That originally came forward with some townhouses and other types of, or other zones, more dense zones, but they reduced that based on neighborhood comments that they got at the neighborhood meeting. And so that one will come before you on the 2nd of December for your consideration. The next one is 8615 Cherry Lane annexation to IL. This was a part of the Adler development, and just it was one single family home farmhouse that was kind of in the midst of all that IL zoning that they had. And so Adler was able to purchase that property, and they would like to annex and zone it to IL to be incorporated into the industrial development out there. So that one was recommended for approval, and you have that coming before you on November 18th. And then the final one is a really unique one. This one is the Derek Cooper property, the old horse park, the horse mural on the side of the wall there. And what he has proposed and been approved by the Planning and Zoning Commission is for a container park. And what this is so taking train containers and dressing them up and placing them on a foundation on that property, and then having a gathering space in the center. It's It's a place for people to have a drink, have food. In those containers are places where food and drink will be served. There's also a restroom going to be put on the property there, and it's again kind of fenced off for all those purposes. Really unique situation here, and we anticipate that it's going to drive a lot of people into that area in the downtown. So happy to answer questions about that one. That was a project that I had the staff report on, but that's all I have.
Thank you.
I
Yes.
don't have a question. Well, I do have a question. So what's going on with Denny's? I know they demolished it, but what's going to go in that place? Have you heard anything?
Christy will answer that one.
I have not promised anybody that I wouldn't say what's going in there. We've already done the design review for a Wiener Schnitzel.
Oh, really?
Yes. Wiener Schnitzel.
Wiener Schnitzel.
And is that a sit-down or is that drive-through? or
That is
both,
a
or-
drive-through. There is not a eat-in dining room.
There's
there.
no dining
No.
room, just strictly.
It's not big enough. It's a very small, tight lot.
Okay.
So what about Sherry's?
That I don't know. I haven't met with anybody on that lot yet.
Okay, they closed.
Did they?
Yeah.
Okay, did not know that.
Yeah, they closed just last week, I think.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay, you're done.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that update. Okay, so we are going to go through new business items 1 and 2 prior to stepping into public hearings. And the first new business item is, Shar is going to do it, but this is an action item. This is a consideration of an alcohol license application from Video Mexico Nampa LLC located at 417 11th Avenue North, which requires a waiver to allow off-premise beer and wine sales within 300 feet of a church.
Madam Mayor, Council, Shar Tim, City Clerk. As the Mayor stated, this is a consideration of a waiver to allow off-premise beer and wine sales within 300 feet of a church for Video Mexico Nampa LLC, which is located at 417 11th Avenue North. I do want to just make a special note so there's no misunderstanding. This business does have 2 locations, and you did consider the other location at your meeting on October 7th, and that one was at Caldwell Boulevard. So as you can see, here is an aerial view of the location, and here is a street view.
Shar, could you go back to the aerial view, please? I was just looking to see what was in proximity of it. So maybe when you talk about the proximity, because it says it's within 300 feet of a church.
Right, yes.
you.
Yes, thank you. Okay, so here's the location map, and you can see on the left is where Video Mexico is, and then on the right is where the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints is located. According to City Code 5-12-11, no license of the sale of liquor, wine, or beer by the drink shall be issued for any premise in any neighborhood which is predominantly residential or within 300 feet of the property boundaries of any public school, church, or any other place of worship measured in a straight line to the nearest entrance to the licensed premise, except with the approval of the City Council. So there is your 300-foot radius. And as you can see, the property line of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints to the entrance of the business is approximately 188.6 feet. Oops. And I'll just go back to this so you just have a kind of an idea. Although not required by city code to contact the church or school that is located within 300 feet of the 300-foot radius, council has historically requested the clerk's office to attempt to contact them for their input. The clerk's office has made 10 attempts to contact the church. We did a certified letter that was mailed on October 2nd and was returned undeliverable. We called the listed number on October 8th and October 11th. There was no answer and no voicemail option. We called another LDS church number to get a working number or address. We did that on October 11th. There was no answer, but we did leave a voicemail message. We obtained a possible contact from the mayor's office and emailed that contact person on October 16th, and no response has been received. Yesterday evening, Councilmember Jangula provided phone numbers for 3 bishops and 2 ward offices, and phone calls were placed to them today. The ward office phone numbers did not go through, and messages were left for all 3 bishops, which contained the reason for the call, the meeting tonight, and a request to contact the clerk's office. So this is located within a BC Community Business Zoning District. The general retail is permitted and alcohol sales need to be under 40%. Otherwise, the business classification would be a tavern. The applicant's email, which was included in the council packet, provided the following information. It began as a video rental store in 1995. It transitioned over the years to a common goods and services store. They currently sell snacks, candies, soft drinks, blankets, cleaning products, teas, spices, decorations, and pinatas. They offer services such as money wire transfers, check cashing, and utility payments. Customers have been asking them to sell alcohol. After the agenda packet was published, the applicant provided additional information, such as the operating hours, which will be 9:30 a.m. to 9 p.m., with winter hours closing at 8 p.m. The estimated alcohol sales are expected to be approximately 8 to 10% of total sales. And that is my presentation.
Shar, thank you very much. Council, how would you like to proceed with this particular item?
Kathleen? Since phone calls have been made to the bishops, I would suggest we wait and hear from them before we make a decision.
Councilwoman Jangula?
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion to deny the consideration of alcohol license application for Video Mexico Nampa LLC.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we deny this particular application. There is an opportunity for discussion. Is there any discussion? Seeing none?
Clarification. So this is the denial of it, so we don't need to hear from the bishops then?
That is correct.
Okay, thank you.
Yes. Okay, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jangula.
Yes.
Bills.
We'll have to see. David may need to go off of mute, but
Reynolds.
Yes.
Hammerfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
thank you. Okay, moving on to 7.2. It's an action item. It's to authorize the Nampa Parks and Recreation Department to purchase 50 golf cars, and that's not a typo, for Ridgecrest Golf Club in the amount not to exceed $423,970.50. This was reviewed by City Attorney Todd Lakey and is approved in the FY25 budget.
I'll make the motion to approve.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
I had a clarifying question, Mayor, just in regard, it said that there would be a reimbursement for the other carts that they're going to be trading in. I just was curious how many carts are being traded in for that amount?
Tony, I'll let you come up and answer that question. Thank you, Tony.
Mayor, Council, Councilman Griffin, 50 carts will be traded in. We don't know the value of those until after they get them. So.
Good deal. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Jangula.
Yes.
Sorry, Jangula.
Yes.
Bills. Hammerfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
With that, I think I'm going to shift us over to public hearings and because, well, Jeff will have to stay through the entire meeting anyway. So we're going to move on unless there's something else that has someone here that would be leaving. We're going to go and we're going to start with public hearing 8.1. 8.1 is an action item. This is a proposed amendment, and Amber, you can make your way forward. Proposed amendment to the Downtown Business Improvement District Ordinance Number 1946 modifying the application, collection, method of calculation, and rate of special assessment within the Nampa Downtown Business Improvement District Number 2. So this is being brought forward by staff and Amber Bothwell. Thank you for being here this evening. And I think all of this information, it was in our packet, and Amber will go through it this evening before we step into our public hearing. Thank you, Amber.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Again, Amber Bothwell with Economic Development. We are coming before you today to propose amendments to the Downtown Business Improvement District Ordinance. If you guys recall, we came before you guys last year with these same proposed amendments. So I'll give you guys a brief overview of what we had presented then. For those that don't know, the Business Improvement District is located downtown. This is a fee assessment district. It was established in 1982, and the BID serves in an advocacy role for business and property owners. The BID brings enhanced services to downtown, such as beautification, enhanced sanitation services, improvements such as seasonal decorations, art, downtown events, funding of economic development efforts, and this is bounded geographically. It was requested before that I show you guys a map. So the BID is within the Downtown Historic District. It does not encompass the entire historic district, but a good chunk of it. Currently, we've been facing a lot of challenges with the BID. We have not increased fees since 1993. And due to that lower funding than comparable districts, we've been unable to provide competitive levels of service. There's been a lot of growth in the district, and compared to that stagnant funding level has created a challenge due to our limited resources. And we're having a lot of trouble tracking the frequent turnover of businesses. We don't have business licensing, so we don't know when businesses are coming or leaving our downtown. So it's difficult to assess everybody that's down there. So our current fee structure is the businesses are assessed at 66 cents a square foot of the space they occupy. The minimum assessment is $220 a year. The maximum is $1,650. What we would like to propose is kind of based on Caldwell's rates, and that is to assess property owners. This would help with the administration especially. We have roughly 250 businesses downtown and only about 70 property owners. So administratively, this would help out a lot. And then we would be assessing based on a mill rate. So that mill rate would be against the most recently assessed value of that property. And in order to make this kind of an easier transition, we're proposing a tiered approach. So at the end of 6 years, the Tier 1 businesses, so those are businesses or buildings just containing ground level businesses, would be assessed at a mill rate of the 0.0033. And the Tier 2 are buildings with both upper and lower stories, and they'd be assessed at a mill rate of 0.0025. A lot of this came from research that was done on the different business improvement districts throughout the state. So Nampa is one of the last BIDs to assess business owners. So we'd like to kind of be more comparable to others, and they switched to assessing property owners for the same reasons we're trying to do the same. They had the same challenges as we do. Where's my arrow? And here's just some of the verbiage from our current ordinance and state code. The purpose of the Business Improvement District was to hire a downtown manager to promote business and events, and for the purpose of maintaining the public areas within the district. That's per our current ordinance, 1946. And then according to Idaho code, the BID is used to acquire, construct, or maintain parking facilities, physical improvement and decoration of public space, promotion of public events, acquisition, operation of transportation services, and the general promotion of retail trade activities in the district. With these additional funds, we would like to increase the activity of the Business Improvement District. We often hear what are you doing for us? What are you doing with this assessment that you are collecting from us? So as of right now, we do a lot of sanitation services. We empty the public trash cans. It pays for seasonal decor, the flowers, stuff like that. But with the additional funds, we can do a lot more, and it would have a really big impact on the downtown. So right now, we're looking at helping to fund some security cameras downtown and additional lighting to increase safety, promote and advertise our businesses, increase our trash removal services, regular street and sidewalk cleaning, wayfinding, additional flowers, beautification, welcome packets, seasonal decor, additional speakers. We had some speakers installed, Wall Street Alley beautification and pedestrian amenities, snow removal, and window art on vacant buildings. And like I had mentioned, last year on August 7th, we came before you with the same proposed amendments. Council decided to delay that decision because they don't believe this was communicated properly to all of those downtown. And to give the property owners time to adjust their leases to account for this change. So since then, we've had a lot of communication take place. We've had several town halls. We've had the resolution of intention mailed twice now this year, one by certified mail to all the property owners to ensure they received this information and were well informed about this public hearing and the changes that we are proposing. And with that, we would like to recommend approval, and I stand for any questions.
Mayor. Amber, thank you so much. Yes, Councilman Haverfield.
Amber, I forgot to ask the other day, if you can go back to the Tier 1, Tier 2. Tier 1 is for ground-level businesses only. A multi-level building that has residential units above, is that with just the business on the main level, would that fall under Tier 1 or Tier 2?
Tier 2.
Tier 2. So anything that's above a second level on up would be considered Tier 2 then?
Correct.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Amber? Not at this time. Amber,
I will say we have a lot of people here in support that are liking to speak. We have our BID, several members of the BID board, including our BID chair. So,
thank you. I hope that they will please, if they haven't signed up, if they will testify this evening, because we need to hear from everyone.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we will move into our public testimony. As we get ready, I don't know how many are signed up versus not, but it doesn't matter because anyone here is welcome to testify on this matter. This is a public hearing. When you come forward, please state your name, your address, and then you will have 3 minutes. There's no applauding, there's no anything. Just you have 3 minutes to testify, and then we'll move on to the next person. So.
Madam Mayor, before we start, I do want to announce that we did receive a late submittal Friday afternoon, and it was a letter in support, and it had quite a few businesses that had signed on that. A copy of that has been provided to all of the council members. It is available online, and there is a hard copy in the back. So our first speaker is Chloe Hansen.
Hello, Mayor. Hello, Council. I was the one who submitted that letter on Friday, so I'm glad you all received it. And I just wanted to share some of my observations, too, as I walked around.
Go ahead and give
I'm sorry.
Name and address.
My name is Chloe Hansen.
Yes, thank you.
My business address or my residential address?
Whichever one you would like. Go ahead and give your business.
Okay, my business address is 1314 2nd Street South in Nampa. I'm one of the owners of Flying M Coffee in downtown. So I wanted to share just some of the motivation behind writing this letter. As hopefully a lot of you know, we have a lot of really wonderful and unique businesses in our downtown Nampa neighborhood. A lot of the same people that are greeting you when you walk into the door are the same people that own that business. It's a really small town vibe. I think it's something we're all really proud of. And this amendment would immensely help us in growing our downtown Nampa, our mission, what we're all trying to do. There are a lot of business owners that are really passionate, really want to be there, and we need to see more visitors in our downtown Nampa. Right now, we have a great trajectory. We have wonderful support from the city staff, from mayor, from the BID board. We're in a really great place, and this amendment would take us to that next step to get additional funding so that we can make downtown Nampa a destination. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. So you are a business, but also a part owner in a business?
Correct, yes.
Correct?
I'm one of the owners at Flying M, yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
and I live in Nampa, but not in the city limits.
But speaking on behalf as a building owner that would be impacted by this change?
I am actually not the building owner. My parents are, and they are here as well in support. So I'm one of the business owners. I did collect some building owner signatures, as you saw on that letter as well, yes. So there are some building owners that I was able to contact as well, yes.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is David Ferdinand. David?
Did you mean to be signed up? Yeah. There you go. Good evening.
David Ferdinand, 2419 West Heron Loop in Nampa. And good evening, Mayor and Council. We have been here before, and I am David Ferdinand, 2419 West Heron Loop. I'm representing Richardson Properties, a property owner in downtown Nampa at 1202 First Street and the historic Bank of Nampa building. It was built right after the 1909 fire, and built really well, by the way. Yeah, come down and take a look at how well that was built after the fire. Changing the process of the bid assessment for the Business Improvement District to a property tax lien changes the obligation from the business to the property owner. And I've heard their reasoning, and Richardson Properties is not against paying or increasing the BID, just the way in which they're suggesting the property tax. The county would be required to assess a property tax, and are, as I understood it from the county clerk, whom I met with, that they're not in favor of adding a property tax to the tax rolls. There are about 63 different property taxes right now, and it would just add one more to it. The county clerk has stated that to me. So I would just ask to please either postpone any action until all council members are present to vote on a tax increase, or vote no on the changes from the current process to assess that quarterly fee, and have a published plan for the BID and include all of the property owners in downtown Nampa.
Thank you, David.
Any questions?
I do have one, Mayor.
Yes.
So, David?
Yes.
I said to Mr. Ferdinand, it says here the property owners, and I only see 8. How many are there?
You know, a lot of the property owners in downtown, we've got a list, I'm sure that we could come up with it, but several are tax exempt. The churches, the schools, the city of Nampa owns about, I think it was, if I'm somewhere between 9 and 14 properties in downtown Nampa. And so there's not all the property owners. We've got we've got the list. It's quite extensive, but I don't think I have an exact number without going through and counting, but I do know that several of them are tax exempt.
Okay, so you're not necessarily against the proposal. You're just against the way the process for the tax.
Changing it from a business owner to a property owner changes it to a lien that's actually put on an individual's property. Now, this gets into a whole different situation than charging a fee for beautifying the city or doing Thursday night fun nights or closing the streets and having parties on the sidewalks and drinking alcohol in public, those kinds of things. That's part of their downtown, process. But when you change it from a fee for those activities that they're doing to a property tax, it changes it to an actual property tax lien that's put on the property by the city or county. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Right.
Thank you.
You bet.
So we will have, Amber, I know you're taking notes. You don't have to speak to it now, but at the end of the public hearing, we have an opportunity for you to come back. I know she earlier did state the exact number of, she already stated the number of buildings. She'll come back and restate the privately owned buildings. And Amber, you can also speak to that process that research has been done on that. So thank you, Amber.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any other advance signups.
I think that we do have other people here that I would hope would be joining us this evening and speaking. And so who would like to speak on behalf of this item this evening? Okay.
I signed up.
Okay. Thank you. So go ahead and come forward. Mr. Ayers, go ahead and come forward and give us your name and your address, and you'll have 3 minutes to share, followed by the gentleman back here. You'll get to do the same right after him. Thank you. And then any others here this evening. Thank you. Good evening.
My name's Terry Ayers. I represent TerraCorp. We are a major property owner in downtown Nampa, 16 12th Avenue South. We did meet with Mayor Kling, and I provided the mayor a list of all the property owners, and those are the yellow, highlighted in yellow, are the exempt and city-owned buildings, considerable. And I am against the change for multiple reasons. Same as Mr. Ferdinand, the fact that that you are changing to a property tax, and when it was brought up that it was a property tax by city staff, the local CPA brought forth the scenario that indeed it was a tax, and they said, no, it's not a tax. There's no other way of putting it other than it's a tax. And then when she says, well, I can see why some people might consider it a tax, well, it is a tax. And I did, bear with me 1 second, I did have a letter that I created for the city council members. And they talk about snow removal and things. There's never been any snow removal. And we've had the building now for about 20 years in downtown. I've invested heavily in downtown. I believe in downtown, but I don't believe in what the local BID is doing. And I'm actually suggesting that we table it, that you table it, or vote to, bear with me 1 second. Too many papers. And upon.
Hang on just one moment, and we're going to display it so that others can see it as you walk through it.
Okay.
So hang on just a second. And we only have about 23 seconds. We'll give you maybe another 30 seconds, so we'll have to be quick as we go through it. You may not want to read it at this point, but you might just state generally what it says, since we only have 30 seconds. We can leave it up on the screen.
I attempted earlier I contacted the city and I was going to play a short video clip, and they said that's not allowed at the council meeting. But the key is to bring business and create enthusiasm for downtown. We need to have a clean, safe place. And with the amount of alcohol consumption, it's brought about defecation on our property, and I don't appreciate that in any way, shape, or form. They've closed off some of the parking, which has created a problem with our parking lot, because they are actually filling the Long Branch TerraCorp's, actually, not the Long Branch, but TerraCorp's property.
Madam Mayor, time.
To the point where our tenants cannot even park in there. So I'm asking you to, at very least, table it until all property owners can bring forth. I read some incredible articles, especially about selling the library building for $1. Seems that was a very big problem. And I read the article that Mayor Kling had given a state of the city address and how crime is down. But the problem is, it's bringing a lot of additional problems downtown. This happens to be a photo of some young individuals that broke into Long Branch. We had to call the cops on.
So, Amy.
Madam Mayor, we are at time.
So we are at time, but what we will do is share the photo that you just shared. We'll put it up so everyone can see it. And then after we share the photo, maybe we'll just put the letter back up so people can finish seeing it. But thank you, Amy, for putting the photo there so others can see it.
And I'm open to
Thank
any
you.
question.
Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Ayers at this time? I don't believe so. Thank you so much. We appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you, City Council.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
And
thank you, Amy, for leaving that up. Thank you. We'll just leave it up for a while. Thank you.
can I
Thank you very
provide
much.
one more?
Is that another
If anybody
copy?
thinks that I'm anti-community,
Okay.
this was an item that I did. I went and did a thank you for the police and the fire department.
Thank you. Okay, so we will pass this down and just pass the rest of it down. Here's another one. There you go. That's for you. Okay, I think we had another gentleman. Thank you. Go ahead and come forward with your name and your address, and we appreciate hearing from you. If you want to go ahead and give the items that you want to put up before we start, that would be helpful. Thank you.
Madam
Okay.
Mayor, Council.
Yes.
Welcome to my first meeting. I made it. I'm opposed
And
to
what is your name and
my
your-
name's Ron Rawls. I own Garrity Appliance, and the address is 1207 3rd Street South, downtown. And like the last two gentlemen up here, I am opposed to the increase happening with the business district. We have been downtown Nampa now for over 10 years, and we were renters to begin with, so we was paying along $55 a month doing the quarterly thing, which was cheap enough, okay? But now we have purchased the building, So now it's moving over to the landowner. I don't mind a fee, but like the last gentleman was stating, kind of doing the assessment thing, I think is a little bit much, because it's a significant jump for us and our small business, okay? And then as far as what's going on with what we get, because we're actually right on the cusp of downtown Nampa, okay? Everything that happens is down there, Front Street, 1st, 2nd. We're actually on 3rd Street, right on the cusp of it. We don't feel like we're included in anything. In fact, when Halloween comes, we're out there with our candy, chasing kids down, trying to give them something, you know? We don't get anything being right where we're at. And then, if you can see my pictures up there, this was our last winter, and the businesses across the street from us, they all got plowed, and the last gentleman was talking about that as far as services and getting plowed. And I called everybody I could think of to come down and plow out in front of our business. We only have 3 parking spots, and these guys are actually parked in a lane of traffic, okay? If you guys would flip up that last picture for me, please. That was the same one. Okay, this is today. So somebody came down through there doing about 40 miles an hour and hit that little round thing by the pole and bent it over. Nobody's bothered to come fix that yet, okay? But we don't get any services. Our business gets tagged regularly, which we go ahead and take care of. But I just don't feel like the increase justifies what, you know, it's too much, in my opinion.
Okay.
It should be a fee, not an assessment off the value of the property. We'd like to see that more so.
Thank you so much for coming and sharing.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is there anything else you'd like to share? Thank you for bringing the pictures. Council, do you have any questions?
Mayor,
Yes.
when did that accident happen?
That was about 2 months ago. Yeah, we had it on our camera. We got security cameras outside. In fact, this is one of the worst corners downtown Nampa. There's more accidents happen right there than any other corner. And so the officers are always in, every time there's an accident, grabbing footage off of our cameras. Thank you. Yeah, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. I
Yep,
appreciate
thank you.
it. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify this evening? Yes. Good evening. Thank you for sharing your name and address.
I will do that. I got to raise the microphone. Does it come this high?
Good idea.
All right. My name is Clayton Bora, 211 22nd Avenue South in Nampa. Thank you, Mayor and Council. I am a downtown business owner. I am currently the chair of the Downtown Nampa Business Improvement District. And I have lived my entire life in Nampa. I have owned 2 businesses within the BID, and my current business has been located inside the BID bounds for nearly 10 years. I also happen to own the building in which my business is located, and I deeply care about this community, and it is my commitment to Nampa that drives me here to speak tonight. The downtown BID has operated within the same assessment structure for far too long. As Amber presented earlier, it's been about 30 years. Our district and the world around us has changed dramatically, not the least of which is the cost of doing anything. Several of you have experience running a business. You all understand the cost involved in running any organization as you see requests for funding all the time. You know how much things cost. Our downtown BID received a total of $32,000 in assessments last year. That's what we managed to collect. You can't do a lot with $32,000. So I'm going to go off my script here a little bit. That includes things like we want to do plow snow, but we can't afford to do it. That's something we'd love to do in the future. Being able to have funds to go and repair a broken bike rack. Like, it'd be great if the city was on the ball, but if we could help out, that would be great. But we don't have the funds to do that. So this is directly connected to how our current assessment system works. Businesses move in and out of downtown without any communication or very little communication, so it makes it almost impossible for us to assess with accuracy and timeliness. So this limits our funds and therefore our ability to make meaningful improvements. As a result, we've been limited to focus on short-term tasks and have been unable to make long-term plans or significant investments in our downtown. I've watched neighboring communities grow and thrive, developing vibrant downtowns that attract both residents and visitors, but downtown Nampa has lagged behind. Changing the assessment responsibility to property owners, which I am one, instead of business owners, and updating assessment rates is a practical necessity. Since property owners don't change as often as businesses do, this will ensure a stable and adequate funding stream that will allow the BID to truly work for downtown, making the improvements that will make it a great place to do business and allow us to compete with surrounding communities. On a personal note, that's all personal, but many of my friends who used to be involved and dedicated to this community have moved to Boise. Why? Because Nampa doesn't offer the lifestyle, entertainment, or business opportunities they expect. These were people like me, people who wanted to make Nampa a better place, a place they wanted to live, but they got tired of feeling stuck. And I hear similar sentiments from people all the time. Wow. Money isn't the only thing that drives progress and improvement, but without it, progress is impossible. I strongly urge you to approve these changes so we can build a future that will keep businesses, families, and individuals invested in Nampa's downtown, and I believe this community's potential. Please give us the tools we need to succeed. Thank you.
Do you have any questions for Clayton? Thank you for your leadership. You mentioned you have been involved in the Downtown Business Improvement District for over 10 years, correct?
Off and on for about 20 years.
Off and on for 20 years. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Thank you. Yes.
I do have a question. So you mentioned that your budget last year was $32,000. If this gets approved tonight, what is your projections on?
That is a really good question, and I don't have those numbers in front of me. But Amber probably will be able to have that for you.
Thank you. Thank you. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to testify? Yes. Go ahead and come forward. Thank you for sharing your name and address.
Hello, good evening. My name is Beatrix Westmoreland, and I am the owner of the Syringa, located at 108 12th Avenue South. I'm also a member of the board for the BID, and I wanted to speak up in favor of the proposed changes. To many of Clayton's points he just made, the BID took a trip to Idaho Falls in order to explore their equivalent body that manages their downtown area, and we learned a lot about what makes a downtown efficient, and a huge portion of that comes from an efficient revenue stream. There's two parts to this. It's not just about increasing fees, while that's very necessary, and I'm very much in support of that. It's also the means by which we collect them. There's an attorney who resides on the BID in Idaho Falls, and he was adamant that the most efficient way to collect these fees and to make it not a heavy tax and burden on our system internally is by switching to to put it on your property taxes. He said that since they had switched to that system over in Idaho Falls, that they had a 100% pay rate. And it's never, ever an issue for them moving forward. We've spent an enormous amount of time in our meetings and our volunteer meetings, right? We all come together and do this on our volunteer hours. We spend a huge amount of time talking about, okay, well, who's running late? Who hasn't paid? We don't want to be a collection agency. Amber spent hours and hours looking to hunt down these businesses and to figure out where some of our funding is not coming in. And I don't think that that's the purpose, and that's not what we're here for. We want to spend our time and our man hours improving what the city has to offer. I live in Boise now, and I'll be moving to Nampa, but I have found that a lot of other business owners and people in the Treasure Valley have expressed doubts about what downtown Nampa can provide, about what we offer in comparison to other cities. And I think a huge portion of that starts with us being able to show the value that we offer business owners, and that Nampa is in support of the downtown area and that we can compete with the neighboring cities. There's so many benefits and so many good things to come, and I empathize greatly with the other business owners who feel like they haven't gotten enough value, because in many ways they haven't yet. But we have a team that's dedicated to improving that, but it has to start with an improved revenue stream. And as a business owner, I know that I know the building owners eventually, in most ways, will just in turn turn that back around, and your business owners are going to end up paying that through their leases in one way or another, right? I have no problem with that, but it's about having that efficient revenue stream so that we can be efficient. I'm happy to stand for any questions. Thank you so much.
Council, do you have any questions? No, but
Thank
thank you
you.
so much. Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to testify this evening? Okay, come on up. Thank you.
Hello, I really don't. My name is Ski Wood, and I am part owner of MB Home and Gifts in downtown Nampa, 1309 First Street South. I could say a bazillion things about what's going on and the excitement that I have. I am part of the BID board, and we meet religiously. We've been once a month, and now we've gone to twice a month. We all love downtown Nampa. We want it to thrive. And for me, I feel like we need more people downtown, but we also need to show people what they can do downtown. And there's just a lot of things that can be done. We do need more funding, and I understand nobody wants to pay more than money's tight, I get that. But we do get things, we all get things, even one business that says, well, I don't get anything out of it. Well, you got to be involved too. There's a buy-in. Downtown is like an HOA, is how I like to consider it. When you move into a subdivision, you're gonna pay your portion to keep it nice, and we all want downtown nice. We have building owners here that they knew this a year ago, and they're still trying to say no. I've never seen any of the building owner at any meetings or being involved or upgrading their business or their buildings, and it looks like blight, and it's not good for our city. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Jim.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Yeah.
Yes, for you. Sorry.
Yes.
Recently, we received a letter, I believe, from your business about complaints about the stage and the parking closure downtown. Has that been resolved for you, or?
No.
Okay. I was just curious.
Oh, yes, no.
The BID involvement there.
Yeah, no.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ski. Is there anyone else this evening that would like to testify? Yes. Val, come on up and give us your name and address, and we look forward to hearing what you have to say.
My name is Val Dilley. My street address that I live at is 108 South Power Line, Nampa. I have buildings located at 117 14th Avenue South and across the street at 102 14th Avenue South. That building is the old Lloyd Lumber Cabinet Shop. The BID, it started the year I moved into my building. I believe that was 1985. And I welcomed the BID because I thought that was a direction that we needed to be. But it's come to the point in time that maybe what we have is good enough. Do we need to have the expanded amount? Our calculation on what is going to happen with this changeover is that it's going to be 3 times what the BID has been. I don't believe it's a matter of how much money you throw at this, but a matter of controlling the money that you do have. For example, we received our BID notice billing in January of 2023. We paid it. We did not receive any more billings. That was for the first quarter. So we received the first quarter billings in January, rightly so. We did not receive any more billings until January of 2024. And they billed us at that time for the second, third, and fourth quarters for 2023. which we paid, and then they sent a bill out for the first quarter of 2024. And we said, this is enough of this, we'll just pay the full annual amount. Well, they sent us another notice recently saying we didn't pay the 2024, but we paid it all. So they're not controlling the money. And if they're not sending notices to me, how many other business owners are they not sending notices to as well? Yeah, they know that they can go to the business owners and probably get a better response than the businesses, but it's not the mentality of the business owners or the mentality of the businesses. It's a matter of sending out bills to remind them to pay it. I think the BID works sufficient for garbage collection, some beautification. And now, granted, there's some businesses may not keep up their property quite the way it needs to be, and so the BID can assist. You know, I heard the last speaker saying that
Madam Mayor, time.
the owners aren't pitching in. We just spent $10,000 just this last quarter on doing improvements on our building. So anyway, I'd much rather see, don't do the expansion. Don't throw more money at the problem. I think the money we have is enough. I apologize for not coming more dressed up. I'm coming directly from a soccer, and so here I am.
Thank you.
Questions?
Council, do you have any questions?
Mayor?
And I will say, we will speak to the billing issue when we complete public hearing, because we have explanation for that.
Thank you.
Was that going to be your question? Okay, we will speak to that when we get to the closing. Thank you very much.
Everybody's good? Thank you.
Is there anyone else here this evening that had intended to testify that has not had the opportunity to do so? If so, please come forward. Okay, seeing no one, this is an opportunity for staff to come back and provide closing comments. So in the notes that I've taken, these are the comments that I think we need answers for as a council. Amber, I know you can speak to the billing issue. In fact, I may speak to that to not put you in an awkward position. You could probably share what the budget, you anticipate the annual budget to be with this change. And then the third item will be the Canyon County not being willing to handle the billing, whereas Idaho Falls, they do, and kind of how we're going to address that piece of it. I will say, I'm going to start by speaking to it so you don't have to. We made a decision prior to the last several months. The DNCA was actually managing the bill collection and billing. We actually separated from the DNCA, and the city took it over for the very reason that was just expressed, because there were a number of billings that didn't take place, and not meaning to throw anyone under the bus, we had a needed change. We needed to make a change. We have since made that change. Amber has spent hours cleaning up the financial records, and it has taken hours and hours of her time trying to get us back to where we used to be when the city was managing it. So the city now, Amber is a city staff. We actually are doing the work of a downtown manager. Amber is carrying that responsibility right now. It's been very time consuming, but I will say it's because the city is committed. We're committed to turning around our downtown and to doing whatever we need to. And so that has been addressed and cleaned up. If there was an additional error to where we did a double billing when they paid, Amber will certainly, I know you've already taken note of that, and we'll look into that and to ensure that that's corrected. But she's worked really hard to clean up a really challenging situation in the billings.
So I have a
Yes.
follow-up question to that, Mayor. Is part of the plan, because obviously $32,000 is a shoestring budget that you can't work with additional funds coming in, is there a possibility to have a CPA or an additional auditor with the collection just to make sure things are squeaky clean moving forward?
Councilman Griffin, we actually just recently contracted with a CPA about a month and a half ago. So we do have someone on board now, and he is working with me to clean up those accounts.
Thank you.
Yes, Councilman Haverfield.
Now time to ask questions then, or?
Yes, well, she's going to, before we ask questions, she's going to answer some questions that came up during the public hearing. So why don't you go ahead and answer those questions, then we'll open it up to council.
Yeah, so I made a note here, so hopefully if I miss anything, let me know. I know one of the first comments that came up was about this being a property tax. It is not. It is not going to be part of the tax rolls. There are no liens on the building. We will be assessing the property owners the same way we assess the business owners. We have our own program. We do our own billing. We do our own invoicing. There are no liens on the properties. We figure the assessment rate similar as if taxes are figured. So we do a mill rate based on the property value, but this is not collected by the county. It is not even collected by the city, technically. It's through the BID, which I help administer. So the billing comes through the BID. I know snow removal was brought up a couple times.
Let's finish on that topic, because
Sure.
I don't know that we really fully answered it.
Sure.
Idaho Falls is collected at the county level. The county could do this for us. They could put it on an annual billing and it could be run through the county. Canyon County is not willing to do that. So that discussion has taken place. Canyon County is not interested. At this time, they don't want to take on the responsibility, so it will be handled through the BID. Currently, if there is not a payment, it goes before the board. Eventually, it does go to collections. My understanding is that process would stay the same. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Yeah, so the process is going to stay the same. It would go to collections. There would be no difference. But in Idaho Falls, it actually was collected at the county level. Canyon County is not interested, so we'll be continuing just the same. So are there any other questions regarding, yes, that?
So how is it that just because there's willingness from the, I lost the word, not the controller's office, the
Assessors?
the assessor's office, thank you. In Idaho Falls or Bonneville County, they're willing to do that? It's not required by statute or city ordinance or anything along those lines? Why are they willing and Canyon County's unwilling?
Councilman Griffin, I can't speak on Canyon County's reasoning for not doing this. They just said they are unwilling to place this tax.
And the only way that it would be required to be placed on the assessor's shoulders is if it was passed by ballot, or how does that process happen to get that as a line item in the property assessment? And the only reason I ask this question is to give reassurance on one side that yes, it's not going to come on your tax assessment, but also that there might be a future time that the assessor's going to put it on his rolls, so to know that process.
Councilman Griffin, I remember looking into this more before when we had spoken to Canyon County, and this was about a year ago, and they had stated they were unwilling. But they have a similar process they would have to do public hearing on their end as well. So they have their own processes for adding, and I'm assuming it's a pretty lengthy process to add a new tax to the county tax rolls. So it would not be something that would be a surprise or an overnight thing.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now you can go on.
Okay. So I know snow removal was brought up. I know that was in my slide. So that slide was to show some of the additional activities we would like to do with the increased funding. So the property owners are absolutely correct. We do not do snow removal right now as part of the BID. It is not something we can afford, but it is something we would like to add as a value to the downtown.
Yes, Councilman
So the
Haverfield.
city takes care of the streets, but not the sidewalks? Is that what we're talking about, is the sidewalks?
That is correct, yeah.
So a follow-up question. There was a bike rack that had gotten squished by a car. That is not the responsibility of the downtown business district to repair, is it?
Councilman Haverfield, no, that is not.
Okay, yeah. So I don't need to follow up on that. The fines that would have been imposed on the person that did cause the damage, they would be responsible for fixing it. It's the main thing I was thinking. Okay, thank you.
In that situation, though, it's sometimes that we don't know who did it, right? I mean, maybe we do, maybe we don't. But if we don't know, if there is structural damage like that, and you don't know who did it, and there's no one to go back to, when it is in the location downtown, then is it the responsibility of our streets department then And I'm just thinking about the communication between the two, because I don't know, that could be something that we've failed to communicate on, so.
Mayor, council.
Yes.
So that's been a football that's been tossed a few times over the years. In recent times, typically fixtures in the downtown are parks that addresses those with Public Works support for helping to get the contractor in to fix those. It's not been something that street department has gone in and fixed historically for fixtures, unless it's light poles. Street department does go in and do light poles, but the other fixtures, benches, planting pots, those types of things, bike racks, are not something that Public Works has handled.
Thank you for that comment, and now that can be a to-do on your list, right? Of others?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Okay, Councilman.
I was just going to say, in that location, I know through the NDC, we funded several cameras that specifically in that area that would have identified that activity through the integrated command center. So I think the downtown core is a lot more open to potential assistance through that documentation that would be video to find the person responsible, find them, obviously, so that they're responsible cost-wise to provide the fix back. So that's all I was thinking.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
So just a follow-up additionally to that accident, and I don't want to take too much time on this, just for the business owner's sake, what's the potential or likely timeline that something will be fixed near their property?
Councilman Griffin, I'm not sure. When I see things like this downtown, I do reach out, usually to Public Works, who then Daniel chose me the right person to go talk to, whether it be Parks and Rec or Streets Department. So when things are brought to my attention, I do bring it to, or try to figure out who needs to take care of it. And I was unaware of that one, so we will get that taken care of.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so I think the next item we had talked about was the budget with the new
Yes.
rate structure.
Yes, Mayor. So when we had said we brought in the 32,000 or whatnot, that is what we collected. That's not what we should have collected. It should have been roughly 60,000. But because of our administrative issues we have had with billing issues and staff turnover in the past, we're not collecting the full amount we should be collecting. We collect roughly half to 60% of the assessments that we should be. And that is why this was the first year we collected an accounts remediation and collections policy. That's why we are now sending businesses to collections agencies for the first time that I know of. So we are cleaning that up. So it should be roughly about 60,000. With the billing changes, it's going to be anywhere from 100,000 to 120,000 a year. And again, that's based on those mill rates with the property values. So it's going to fluctuate with those values. So we'll be looking at roughly doubling the budget.
So, Mayor?
Thank you. Yes.
$120,000 a year is what you anticipate from these collections moving forward if this is approved tonight?
That is correct.
Can you explain in comparison what our budget is to Caldwell?
Downtown Caldwell operates on a budget of about $3 million.
You?
3 million.
3 million. That is correct.
Thank you.
And Mayor,
What else would you like to, I'm sorry.
just to follow up on that, and
Okay.
the only reason I bring up that question is it surprised me when I heard it in the meeting. Can you explain to council and the audience how those funds are collected? It's not just through BID fees, but also ticketed events and...
That is correct. It's through ticketed events. They have their own, I just found this out actually last week, they have their own bartenders on staff for events where they sell alcohol. But they have roughly 3 events a week throughout the year. So they have a lot of events. It brings in a lot of revenue. And then, of course, they have their business improvement district as well with the exact same rates I'm proposing today.
The exact same.
Yes, they are the exact same.
Were there other things that you wanted to share with us before we wrap?
I think I hit everything on my list. Did anybody else have any additional questions?
Mayor.
Yes.
So just to be clear, what we're talking about tonight is currently the downtown businesses are being assessed. Downtown property owners are being assessed as well if they don't have, or if they have vacant spaces or...
That's correct, Councilman Haverfield. The property owners are assessed based on the square footage of the vacant spaces in the building.
So if we make this change, the responsibility for the payment would go to the property owner, which then they would disperse to the actual tenants within their building. Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. And currently, are you working with the building department, say, as a resource of knowing the individual entities that are downtown in tenant improvement spaces? Normally, a change of use request would go along with any tenant improvement documentation. So is there an ongoing list that you have available to you? And then along with that, the overall buildings themselves, the ones that would be possibly vacant versus the ones that would be partially full or totally occupied?
Councilman Haverfield, I don't have a list of the spaces that are either occupied or unoccupied. In May, I actually physically went and checked off every space. There was roughly 250 spaces. I walked and verified myself if they had a business in it or not. And that is another one of the reasons we are doing this, that administratively and time-wise is a lot of time to do, and I can't always tell when a business is coming or going without physically doing that. There isn't that kind of list. I am able to see who the property owners are. That's easy. I can go to the county's assessor's website for that.
Yeah, the tier 1, tier 2 thing, if you have upper levels, are those documented as well?
On the assessor's website it is,
Okay.
yes. And I
So,
already have that list put together.
Not that you need to give it to us tonight, but the full area that we're talking about, square footage of downtown in this geographical area, is that documented someplace to know the full extent of how many actual square feet there are available to be a part of this BID?
We have not calculated the square footage within the boundaries of the BID.
So it's just the businesses themselves?
Correct. We would look at the square foot of each individual space when that billing was established.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Could we move, I guess this front screen, could we move it to the same screen that we're showing up
Which
above?
one?
I'm just asking if we could move the screen I'm looking at, that we're looking at, to the same screen that is overhead. Thank you. Council, do you have any other questions at this time? Yes.
Madam Mayor, I have a question. Amber, does the BID have a written defined role? Like you're talking about snow removal and flowers and trash and all the different things like that. Do you have something written that you give to building property owners or business owners that defines BID's role?
Councilman Reynolds, we currently have a welcome packet I had put together that does state the role of the BID and the kind of activities that they can provide for the downtown. The list that was provided in my presentation was one that the board and us had put together, and from speaking with other downtown businesses about the kind of activities they would like to see done with the BID funding.
And then a follow-up, Mayor. In the past, I think the heartache here is it was kind of dysfunctional, and that's the comment that I hear a lot from property owners. And I think that I just kind of wonder. I know it's hard to overcome that. I know you're working hard, and I appreciate that. I just wondered if you have anything that you've been in contact with these property owners to reassure them that what you're doing is on the road to fixing the downtown BID.
Councilman Reynolds, I have spoken to many property owners downtown. However, there is a large majority that I cannot get a hold of no matter what I do. I have addresses, out-of-state addresses. I don't have phone numbers or emails. I've sent letters. A lot of the property owners have received several letters regarding this, including certified mail. And if they don't reach out to me without contact information, I can't reach out to them. But the ones that are, physically present downtown, and the ones I do have contact information for, yes, I do try to speak with them as much as I can.
And you had a meeting, going back to that, could we go back on the slide, let's go back to the slide that talks about that one right there. There was a downtown meeting in August?
Yes, on August 28th, we had the Downtown Nampa annual meeting. Part of that certified mail that went out was an invitation to that meeting.
To discuss all of this. Yeah.
Fantastic, thank you.
Are there any other questions for Amber? Okay, this is a public hearing, and I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, this is an opportunity for council to discuss the action that they'd like to take or have a motion. And what we're going to do, depending on the motion, if the motion is to move forward, then after that motion and roll call, then we will go to the first reading of ordinance following that.
Mayor? I don't have the language in front of me to be
Let's
proper.
go back. We'll go back to that. Thank you.
So I'll add my comments beforehand. For the sake of the city revitalization, being a young person in Nampa, I think there's a lot of things that we need to do to get to where we want to go. I believe that we need residential above our commercial buildings in downtown to support and have a heartbeat in downtown sustaining these businesses. That's one thing. We're not doing that tonight. I think we need to have organization. It sounds like that's being satisfied and that we're doing things like hiring a CEPA and we're reviewing the books to make sure that's organized. The only piece of this puzzle that I believe right now there's a hole is being able to find and collect properly our fees. Knowing that the county isn't going to touch it, it is something that BID will be over, I think is helpful for transparency for the business owners. I think it also does not fill that hole completely, but I believe this is a step in the right direction. So with that being said, I move that we approve the staff and BID Board of Directors recommendation of the proposed amendments to the Downtown Business Improvement District Ordinance number 1946, modifying the application collection method of calculation and rate of special assessment within the Nampa Downtown Business Improvement District.
There's a motion on the table. Is there a second?
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Any discussion?
Yes, Mayor Kling.
Yes.
This is an issue that that we have wanted to deal with downtown. And Amber, you did great work.
Thank you.
You and your staff is just amazing. There's nothing that I see that's wrong here other than principally, this is an urban renewal district as well as the BID district. So basically the homeowners, the business owners, and the rental owners, I guess I'd call them that, are being taxed twice for the same property. Now, I know that we do need this. I agree 100% with that. And I wish we could do further with that. But please excuse me, it's just a double tax. And I just can't agree with that. Maybe this is the wrong direction, but yeah, I hope I'm doing the right. But you know what? I'm stuck. I really am. I will not be supporting the motion.
Mayor.
Councilman Haverfield.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm sorry, I can't agree with that premise. I think the city of Nampa, through the Nampa Development Corporation, is doing considerable work to help improve facades, to try to bring in restaurants through incentives, the improvements to sidewalks, all of the work, the cameras that are being added to help law enforcement. And so the amount of money that the city and through the NDC is already involving themselves to help provide is a tremendous improvement and a tremendous expense. So I'll support this only because I know that the city's doing their part. If we were sitting back and not doing anything, that would probably, I probably wouldn't be supporting this, but I think that it's important to know that this is a partnership. What we're involved with is bigger than just one person. And the thing that as I look at this, and I look at the business entities that are really the ones that are carrying the burden of the extra expense, It's the collection method that we're talking about tonight and the potential for it to be streamlined. And so I think that would be a good thing. Long-term, as we step back and others take the reins as far as in leadership, they're going to appreciate the decisions that are being made.
Thank you. And I'm sorry, I was talking while you were talking. David Bills is online, and I think he may want to speak, but he's unable to unmute. So we were just trying to work at getting him unmuted so he could share a comment. Are there any other comments during this discussion time?
Mayor, am I allowed to speak or no? After public hearing? No?
Not really.
Okay.
Not really.
Not really?
Yeah. Thank you. So is he able to unmute, David?
Madam Mayor, no, we are struggling trying to unmute Councilor Bills, and he has to do it himself, but.
Okay, but did he make a comment that he is?
Madam Mayor, he did state that he is in support of this.
Okay, thank you. Any other discussion? Okay. This is, just a quick comment since we are in the discussion phase. This is like an HOA do. And it's really no different than, let's say, Treasure Valley Marketplace. It's in their triple net lease. And that's why this last year we paused and we didn't go ahead and move forward this last year so that people could change their lease options to include it, because whether you're here downtown or over, let's say, at another location, there is a cost of being there. And so it's the businesses that are within it. Now, thinking about on 3rd Street and where with Garrity, with the appliance, with your business, I mean, maybe that's a discussion that needs to take place. Do we need 3rd Street for you to be in or out of the district if you don't see the benefit of it? And I don't know what that would take to change the boundaries. That would be a separate public hearing that would be addressed at a later date, but it's certainly something the question could be asked if that needs to take place with the other businesses that are there on 3rd, on just outside of that core. I think it's something that can be discussed as we move forward. Last time when this did not move forward, we had a number of business owners that actually said, we're done. They were so discouraged, they quit the board and they just said, we're done. And because they were so discouraged with the process. And I think it is time that I do support this. I don't think I'll be voting, but I think it's probably wise at this time. The last date that we had an increase was in the 90s, I think it was, in 1993. It's been that many years since we've actually done an increase to dues, which is really kind of crazy. And we've gone through some hard years in that time frame, but it's time to move our downtown forward. We need to move our downtown forward, and I do want to say I appreciate, we've got a number of business owners that are leaning in, that are working hard, that are committed to the revitalization of our downtown. Thank you all for that. So with that, if there's no further discussion, roll call.
Rodriguez.
No.
Bills.
This is one time he could type it in the chat. Is that okay if he types it in the chat since he's unable to unmute?
As long as he is in there, but he's the one on the other end.
Okay, we'll work to that. Okay. So you just go past him, and then he could type it in the chat, but we'll go past him right now.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Hammerfield.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
We do have a majority, so motion carries.
Okay. So that concludes, well, no, it doesn't, the public hearing, but we do have an action item. This is the first reading of ordinance adopting the amendments to the Downtown Business Improvement District 1946, modifying the application collection method of calculation rate of special assessment within the Nampa Downtown Improvement District Number 2. This was approved by City Attorney Todd Lakey, and it is approved in the BID budget, and it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, amending and restating certain sections of ordinance number 1946, which established the Nampa Downtown Business Improvement District Number 2 pursuant to Chapter 26, Title 50, Idaho Code, modifying the provisions describing the general purposes of the function and operation of the district, modifying the provisions regarding the amount, calculation, application, and payment of the special assessments collected within the district, modifying certain provisions, including those regarding increases in assessments and maximum assessment amounts, repealing certain ordinances and resolutions, providing a savings clause, providing for severability, repealing all ordinances and resolutions in conflict herewith, and providing an effective date.
Mayor, I'll make a motion to pass under suspension of rules.
Second.
It's moved and seconded. Any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
No.
Bills. Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. Okay. So, council, one thing that I had committed to you was to take a quick break around 7, just because we've been at it for 2 hours before we step into the rest of the public hearing. So we will take just a quick 5-minute recess, bathroom break, and we will be right back. This is zoning code text amendment of Title 10, Chapter 15, to add a new section regarding the city-owned trash enclosure installed on Wall Street in the downtown historic zoning district for the city of Nampa. And Christy, thank you for providing the staff report.
Absolutely. Thank you, Mayor and Council. Christy Watkins, Principal Planner for the City of Nampa. This code change was recommended for approval by the Planning and Zoning Commission in September. So just a little bit of background on this. The City of Nampa is requesting a change to City Code in an effort to revitalize downtown. The Wall Street Alley project will include beautification improvements for 2 blocks, from 1st Street South to 2nd Street South. The project will transform the area into a more desirable, active, safe, and walkable community through this access way. Current conditions include lack of lighting, weeds, cracked asphalt, graffiti, unpleasant odors, and numerous dumpsters with overflowing trash, resulting in an uninviting, dangerous, and unwalkable pedestrian corridor surrounded by restaurants and retailers. The Wall Street project involves relocation of trash and grease receptacles, construction of a dumpster enclosure, a trash compactor, multiple installations of art, planters, flowers, weed removal and prevention, lighting, and pavement resurfacing. By not allowing businesses to locate their own trash receptacles in the city right-of-way, all trash receptacles will be contained within this trash enclosure and hidden from sight. The city has been working very closely with Republic Services to finalize all the details, including most recently the leasing of the trash compactor. So the code that is proposed states that Nampa will provide for lease a large common trash, recycle, and grease receptacle for use by the nearby commercial businesses located in the block between 1st Street South and 2nd Street South, and between 12th Avenue South and 13th Avenue South, adjacent to Wall Street. Commercial businesses located in that defined area shall not locate private trash receptacles, examples, dumpsters, rolling trash bins, recycle bins, or other containers that may be used to dispose of trash, recycling, or grease within the city right-of-way. So just for reference, this is kind of an aerial view of downtown. That's where it will be located, right to the left, I guess, if you're looking at that picture, left up a little bit. That would be where LeBaron's is, just for reference, so you kind of know which parking lot we're talking about.
So the Red Cross area was the one you were referencing?
Yes, that's what I was referencing. So then this is kind of a closer-up version of the construction documents. Wall Street in the center, and then down to the left again, LeBaron's is right there on the corner of 12th and 2nd. So staff's proposed findings are that it meets city code when we are amending zoning ordinances. These are your potential motions, and Amber or Robin or I can answer your questions.
Thank you very much. Yes, Councilman Haverfield.
Question. Christy, the geographic boundary, is it the same as the one that we just saw in the prior packet, that outlined area that was in the...
Councilman Haverfield, it's not the same boundary.
Okay,
So BID is slightly smaller.
Was it in, I didn't see it in the packet on that area.
So it's...
Is it just that block?
That's where it will be located, but the DH zone is a much larger area. We're just adding this for this parking lot.
But the downtown historic zone that was just identified in the last public hearing item, is that the same boundary?
It is not the same boundary. So the downtown historic zone is a much larger area.
It's bigger than that, then?
Yes, and it includes the other side of 16th in
So
some cases.
all of the businesses or property owners within that downtown historic area will have to use this?
No. Just the spaces identified within this code language.
Can you point out those spaces maybe on this picture so that it's clear which spaces are impacted by this particular?
Rodney can come in and move the arrow around for you. So in the code, it specifically states located in the block between 1st Street South and 2nd Street South, and between 12th Avenue South and 13th Avenue South, adjacent to Wall Street. So it's just that block.
Okay, that was my question earlier, but I guess I wasn't clear. And Republic Storage, or Republic Services will be taking care of that location, that dumpster location for us
That's
as well.
correct.
All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Mayor?
Yes.
Follow up just on the contracting side. Has this gone to bid? Is there any other providers similar to Republic Services that is out there or can speak to that? Or is it just that one group?
Rochelle, you need to come, well, go ahead and come forward. Thank you. Thank you. And state your name and address and who you're with.
Rochelle
Thank you.
Klein, 11101 West Executive Drive in Boise with Republic Services. No, it's a franchise service in the city, so it just falls under the regular franchise services. And this is just a unique project that we've been working on with the city for a long time, and it turns out to be the best solution for this really tight alley that's now becoming kind of a pocket park alley. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Follow up, Mayor, to
Yes.
staff. Is this, the code change specifically is just saying that the city will find a contractee to be able to do this service? It's not saying one group or another specifically within the code? Or is it specifically Republic Services indefinitely? That's where I'm trying to get understanding. I see it in the description of changes, but not necessarily in the code change.
Yes, Councilman Griffin, we are not being that specific in the code change. Basically, this is just for the property owner guidance in that they cannot have their own. They must use this one. It doesn't have anything to do with the contract of who will be serving.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions for Christy? Okay. Thank you, Christy. So this is a public hearing, and
Madam Mayor, we do not have any advance sign-up for this item.
at this time, we don't have anyone signed up for the public hearing. Is there anyone here that had intended to speak on behalf of this particular public hearing? Okay, seeing no one. Are there any other questions for Christy? Nope, I'd stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, what's the will of the council?
Madam Mayor,
Yes.
I move to approve the zoning code text amendment of Title 10, Chapter 15 to add a new regarding the city-owned trash enclosure installed on Wall Street in the DH Downtown Historic Zoning District for the city of Nampa.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Jangula?
Yes.
Bills? Thought we had it fixed. Haverfield?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you. That concludes that particular item. Now we're going to move back to 8.2 on the agenda. This is an action item. This is a public hearing to consider increases in the trash and recycling rates. And staff, Doug Racine, CFO, will be sharing with us. Thank you, Doug.
Okay. Mayor, Council, are we ready? Okay. All right. So in the fiscal 2025 budget we built, we included a rate increase in agreement with our contract with Republic Services of 3.5%. That's in the budget. In August, the very first part of August this year, the Canyon County Trash Disposal landfill increased their rates after we had completed the budgets. And so the increase they passed on to Republic needs to be now presented to you as an additional cost above what we budgeted for. The sheet we have attached in your file, I have superseded it with the document and a sheet on your desk, in addition to copies at the back, at the front door, at the entrance. The sheet was accurate, however, it only represented the increase for one bi-monthly billing. The data I'm showing you now is for the annual impact across the 12 months of fiscal 2025. If we look at the very top sheet, the residential rates, we can see that we have 95-gallon containers, about 34,000. The bi-monthly dollar increase for those 34,000 gallon containers is $2.60. So times that by 6 for the entire year. That is the increase for those containers. And likewise for the 65 and the 48 gallons at $2.06 and $1.68. The increase, I'll go to the far right, the total increase is $550,000. The amount we built into the budget, the 3.5%, is $312. That's in the budget, it was already approved. The landfill increase is the amount under the landfill, that's an additional $238,000 for the residential borrowers, or the residential owners, pardon me. If we look down a little bit on the commercial, we see the same data. The increase is a little larger on the commercial side. We can see the containers listed, the 3-yard, the 4-yard, the 6-yard, and the 8-yard, and the various average increase. The percentage increase in the commercial is 7.8% in total, compared to the 6.2% for the residential. And so, I'll get down to the sheet below, and it shows some of the specific increases, but basically the landfill increase, all of the specialty type of things that come in there, non-traditional garbage from the residential. And Rachel can speak to that more clearly if we get to that and you're interested. But the total increase for the year that was built into the budget between the commercial and the residential was $539,000. That's the 3.5%. The commercial impact on top of the residential impact is $517,000. That is not in the budget and is but it is part of the increase. So the total combined increase, budgeted and unbudgeted, would be $1,056,270 for the course of the year. If we go down and look at the types of increase of the commercial, because most of the increase percentage-wise is in the commercial, asbestos, cleaning, construction, demo, concrete, refrigeration, tires, trash, and wood, all of those increase substantially based on the designations at the landfill. And that's about an aggregate to 24% increase on those particular categories. Just for clarity, the original budget for the year was $16,680,000 in collection services and container. So the container is basically a rental. You rent the can, it's a fixed rate. The only increase was applied to the collection services. Half of the money is already included in the budget. The additional $517,000 added for the landfill would bring the new budget combined to $17,197,811 for fiscal 2025. So the request therefore presented for you is to increase the rates as shown, 6.2% for the residential and 7.8% for the commercial in aggregate.
7.9?
7.8% for the commercial and a 6.9% aggregate. Now, if there are any questions related to this, we can have Rochelle come up and talk to the specifics of this and how it's passed through.
I'd like to go back and just re-clarify. So we have already increased 3.5% in our budget. That's the standard annual increase. Right. In addition to that, we're increasing another 6.9%.
No, the total would be 6.9%, so the increase is 3.4%. 3.4 plus 3.5 gets to 6.9.
Thank you, 3.4 plus 3 point. Thank you. That I was not seeing that real clearly. And then again, it's because there was one of these charges has to do with the increased cost at the landfill. Right. And that's where you began today.
So landfill gave us the little gift after the budget was closed, and the impact to us will be $517,000.
Okay. Thank you. Council, do you have other questions for Doug or clarifying?
Mayor?
Yes.
The landfill increases, is that determined by county commissioners? Is there a landfill board? Who decided the increases?
They have a board, I think. Hubert is actually on that board. Okay. And if you would like to ask questions about that, I'm sure that he would be more than willing to step up and answer that.
Thank you.
Are you wanting him to come forward and ask a question?
Only if
No.
you'd like to. I just more protecting the shield of the council that what, some of these decisions that we're making that are going to be increasing across the board, our hands are kind of tied on because we have to have those services provided. So
I think this, however, in the Canyon County landfill, I believe this is their first increase in what, 20 years? 25 years. So it's been a long time since they've made any changes. So the only increases for them would have been volume.
Councilman Rodriguez.
Thank you. I just have one quick question. So with the increase that we're going to be paying because of the new, is this going to be on the amended budget? Did we already approve that?
The budget includes $539,158 of the total. We will have an amendment come forward for an additional $517,112. And that's primarily because so we can have the expenses be correctly budgeted and correct the revenues at the same time.
We don't have a problem with you having that in the bank, right?
No, that's fine. We're good. We're good there. This will be an amended issue, but we're good with that. The challenge, and this is what Republic's been very cooperative with us, is initially the billings should have changed on October 1st, but because of this late rate change, they've agreed to delay increasing our costs until we get this passed through council. So they've been very willing to accommodate our time challenges, and it's been helpful.
So, Mayor, so how much do we make off of this?
We don't make anything, but we do receive what you could call a rebate of 18%. That's at the bottom of the sheet down here, which is about $2 million, $2,057,000. So 18% of what we bill them for the trash collection services, not the container services. Now that 18% goes directly to the streets department. We give it to them under the theory that the big cement trucks are heavy, they do road damage. We're a growing city, there's more cement trucks, more roads, more damage. So this money goes to them, and it has since I've been here, in order to help facilitate road repairs and other street projects.
Okay, that's a good partnership there, that's all.
Yeah, trash collection trucks.
Yes.
Trash collection trucks, yes, just the trash collection trucks.
Okay, thank you.
So just for clarity, if we were to not approve the increase, then what would happen is we would pay out. Could you explain what would happen?
If the increase is not approved, our cost would still go up from the Republic services because the landfill costs went up, but our revenues wouldn't cover that, so we would have to take that out of fund balance or out of other services to pay that differential. So you could say we could take $500,000 out of the streets, you could take $500,000 from various places, but you'd have to pull $500,000 out of other departments in order to fund that differential. And you would probably have to catch up on that next year in the next budget because that would be unsustainable in the long run.
Thank you.
Are there any other questions?
Madam Mayor, I have
Yes.
a question. So just recap, Doug. So the 3.5% was in our budget for Republic.
Correct.
For the 539,158. So we're just needing to make up the 517?
Right.
Okay,
That's the differential.
thanks.
Okay. If there are no further questions, thank you, Doug. This is a public hearing, and?
Mayor, we do not have any advance sign up.
Okay. I know we have one person that would like to speak. Cindy, go ahead and come forward. And Doug, could you put the microphone down for her, maybe to the side or however that might work? There you go. And Cindy, go ahead and share your name and your address, and then you'll have 3 minutes.
Okay, my name is Cindy Hartley. I live at 747 West Kinghorn Drive, Nampa, Idaho 83651. I understand how budgeting in business works. If you don't have enough budget to pay the bills, you got behind, it causes problems with business. I get that, and I get where they're coming with wanting an increase. But as another aspect of business is you take care of your customers. And if you don't, the customers go to someone else. But us customers don't have anyone else to go to. And Republic Services knows they have a problem with disability, disabled customers. They know they have a repeated problem with missed trash pickup. At least for me alone, calling several times a year going, pick up the trash, please, please pick up the trash. Quit skipping my house, pick up the trash. I get a lot of excuses of why, oh, well, we had a substitute driver, oh, we have a new driver. I'm like, then do something about it. And then I got a lot of promises of it'll never happen again, but whether it's a week, whether it's a month, whether it's a few months, it always happens again. And then I have to fight well, you should be reporting. I'm like, I'm disabled. I can't always stay on top of you doing your job. Sometimes I'm stuck in my house for a week at a time because I'm too sick. I'm losing my health. So I might not realize they skipped me again until the next week. And then it's like, well, you didn't say something. And I'm like, no, you didn't pick up the trash. I shouldn't have to go out there every Wednesday and make sure you picked up the trash or get risk of being told I have to deal with it. And so if they're coming in saying, okay, we want more money to do our job, I'm just asking them that they do their job for all of their customers on a reliable basis without gaslighting us, without ignoring us and waiting for us to come and call them and say, do it. Sometimes I've had to wait 3 weeks for them to solve a missed trash, which means I'm missed 3 weeks. And sometimes it's been 4 weeks. My record has been 5 weeks of them not picking up my trash and me calling, going, will you please do your job? And being promised, oh, this won't happen again. Oh, we have reminders in the truck. Oh, the drivers are being, but it just keeps happening. So all I ask is that I get them having a budget. I get them needing to be able to have the means to do their job. I'm just asking them to do their job fairly for their entire customer board, especially since they have a monopoly and we don't have a choice to go to someone else when they don't treat us right. That's all I'm asking.
Cindy, thank you for sharing your testimony. What was your address again?
747 West Kinghorn Drive, Nampa, Idaho, 83651.
747 West Kinghorn Drive. Thank you. As I know where Public Services is here, and I know that they would be more than happy to work on that. I know, so thank you. I just wanted to make sure you guys had that address. Cindy, thank you very much.
Mayor, just to follow up quick before Cindy leaves. Cindy, can you explain to us what that process is for trash pickup for disabled persons? Do you keep your trash cans out, or?
I had to fill out an application when I became an owner. Well, actually, it started when I was renting, when trash wasn't included. I had to fill out an application saying, I am disabled. I am not physically capable of getting that can to the curb and back. And I don't know if I still pay an extra fee for it, but I know it started off me paying an extra fee to get them to come up and get it so that I wouldn't get skipped because I wasn't able to get it down to the curb. And every time I have to go, you missed me, I get the runaround of they try it first. Well, the driver might be new, or it might be, I'm like, I don't care, you missed me, please make it right. And it's like, well, we get to it in a few days. I'm like, I've got trash from this week piling up, please come pick up the trash. And then if I don't catch it the day of, like if I was too sick and I'm stuck in my house and I don't catch it until days later or a week later because I was too sick, well, you should have called us the day it happened. Like, I'm disabled, you have it in your notes, you have it in the truck, you've told me repeatedly that you've taken it to, I think they call it escalation, repeatedly. When is this going to quit happening? And I always have to fight that battle of, don't put this on me, don't gaslight me, do your job.
So your cans are where they would normally be, either behind your fence or wherever? And
No, I literally leave, I have permission. I've had neighbors complain several times, but I've had permission because of my situation and because they keep skipping me. My trash can lives in front of my garage, so that they don't have any excuses of we didn't see it or we can't get to it. It lives in front of my garage with a clear path. I have a ramp van, so the half of my drive that the trash cans are lined up of line up with my ramp, which means it's never blocked unless I happen to be actively getting in and out of my car, which means they literally have no excuse, but they just keep doing it.
Thank you for that. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Cindy.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I go?
Yes, you can go.
Thank you. And again,
yes, thank you very much.
I get the budget needing and all that. I just wanted to bring more attention to the issue.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thanks, Cindy.
Is there anyone else here this evening that did not get signed up that would like to testify? Hubert? Yes, come on forward. And even though we know you, thank you for sharing your name and address.
It's been hard to hear all night. My name's Hubert Osborne. I reside at 4199 East Switzer Way. I cannot explain why the city didn't know about this earlier. This was passed by maybe I better back up. I am on the landfill committee for the county, and we're the ones that put together the budget and approve them before the county commissioners. I would, well, let's start here where I've got little notes. Number one, I think this is the biggest bargain in your utility bill. If you know, Republic is asking for 3.5%, but the county, depending on your size of your container, between 2.7% and 1.8%. You would not even be having a public hearing if it wasn't for the landfill costs. There's a number of reasons for the landfill costs. They bought some more property, which will extend the life of the landfill like 20 years. They're required by our friends at DEQ to keep a reserve fund to cover this after the landfill is filled up. And that because of expenses, I think we've all heard of inflation, income has not come up to expenses. In my case, my total increase, including the 3.5% and 1.8%, I'm the cheapskate that has the 48-gallon container, it'll come to $10.20 a year. I can stand that. And I would just say, for our landfill and defending it, we are very fortunate. Geography and good management makes a landfill that is not expensive to the public. I don't think you can find any place in the country that has cheaper rates for their landfill than we do here in Canyon County. Any questions? Thank you.
Hubert, thank you so much for taking time to share, and thank you for sitting on the landfill committee. It's appreciated. Thank you.
Tom Points is also on that committee.
Yes, he is. I appreciate you guys. Thank you. And Hubert said Tom Points is also on that committee. Is there anyone else here tonight that had intended to testify that did not get signed up? Okay. Are there any further questions for Doug Racine? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, council discussion.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move that we approve the specific languages somewhere.
Do you have a motion other than you to?
No,
No.
just to approve what's
Okay.
presented.
I'll just read that.
The additional 3.4%.
I move to approve and authorize mayor to sign resolution implementing FY25 increases in the trash and recycling rates effective November 1st, 2024.
Second.
Thank you. It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Chingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes. There he is.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay. Thank you. That one's done. Thank you for being here tonight, Rochelle. Appreciate it. Okay, we're going to move to 8.3. This is 8.3 is a public hearing to consider an 8.28% increase in our wastewater rates and fees, and Jeff Barnes is here to present. And I will say that we do have another action item, I'm sure you're aware of this, council, in our hookup fees that are going down. Therefore, there is no public hearing for that particular one, and we will come back to that. It's unusual that we actually get to have a decrease in wastewater hookup fees, which we do, and that's an action item to come later. This particular one is our standard increase, and Jeff will share. Thank you, Jeff.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. The PowerPoint in your packet is longer. I'm going to skim through the first half of it, and then we'll get to the the item tonight. Just a little bit of background about our wastewater, our water renewal department. This is a picture of the 50 staff we have at Water Renewal. They handle 11 million gallons a day to treat our effluent. We also have a team of engineers and of project managers that work to support our capital program. So how do we support our customers to keep costs low? Impact fees, growth, paying for growth were the first impact fees for utilities in the state. Strategic planning. We have a master plan that's out 20 years. We also have prioritize which projects we can do in series, and you'll see that the program that we put in place for funding, we have a CIP that's laid out so that we will not need large increases in the future. We've made great progress as far as our goals. We have 472 miles of pipe. If you add all the pipe up in water resources, it goes into Mexico. So we have an enormous amount of infrastructure in wastewater and water renewal, about $2 billion. This is our accomplishments as a staff, and this is using the budget that we will be proposing tonight. Employee progression plan, we have leadership development. Group F, which is our expansion of the plan, is 95, more than 95% done. We launched HeadWorks, we'll get into that a little bit more. I just want to tell you that they have set goals as a crew, and we track our metrics every year. Mayor has citywide goals. We have even more detailed goals in water renewal. They clean 16% of the pipes. Their goal is 18%, that we will hit that. They inspected 12% of the pipes. There's a camera that goes into the pipes. We will hit the goal of 15%, replace 2.5 miles of pipeline. And then the last one's huge. We want to get to a place where we're 70% and 30% preventive maintenance versus putting out fires. And so that's what we're working on. I'm going to scan forward. This is an update of our current project, and this is a large expansion at the treatment plant. We call that Group F. It's 95% complete, ahead of schedule, within the original budget. And we saved 20 to 30 million by fast track design. And Councilman Haverfield, you were on the Water Renewal Committee at the beginning. Mayor, there's a huge group of people that were involved in this, but we had speed to market initially, which during those COVID years, this saved us an incredible amount of money. So that's part of the success of this. This is a contract for the wastewater Group F. We were at the same place. I've showed the same slide for a year and a half. So we have the same budget that we proposed, we met. And we're getting into the rate increase that we're proposing tonight. This is our 5-year budget, and we track this very closely as a staff and work closely with Finance Department, Doug and his team, and they do an excellent job too of watching these numbers. But in all, we have now set up with these rate increases that we have done, we have annual CIP dollars available where we don't need to go back next year and ask for another large increase. We have built into this program capital that's $10 million to $15 million each year for our collection system and for improvements of at the plant. The recycled line progress, this is actually done. The line's done. We are building this out in front of Fred Meyer. That's where the Class A recycled water will be out. The outfall into the Phillips Canal, we'll use that for irrigation, and that'll be in April of '25. We had the governor come out. We've had so many people come out in the last 6 months. We had the water college. We had a huge engineering conference in Boise. We brought all the engineers, and so that's getting a lot of credit, but it's a testament to the city council, the mayor, everybody who has worked on this project. And so here we're getting into the wastewater rate proposal. So we're proposing an it's 8.228. 8.28, that is incorrect up there. So it's 8.28 wastewater rate increase according to the Phase 2 treatment plant commitments, and I'll go through what those were. So EPA in 2010 issued 2 stringent requirements for the city. One is that we had to reduce our phosphorus by 2026, which was a Herculean task to get there. And then the second was to reduce temperature. So citizen groups got together. They came up with alternatives. One of the alternatives was to send recycled water to the Phyllis Canal, which they don't have the temperature requirements, so that satisfied that. And we also have one of the best environmental projects in the state. The other goal was for phosphorus reduction. We added what's called a tertiary, or a third level of our treatment plant, which goes through a sand filter and then for UV disinfection in order to get the phosphorus down to that level. So the chart you see is part of this. We went to the citizens, went to vote for this. They voted for a bond increase and also a state revolving fund loan. As part of that process, it was a rate increases through FY19 and through this year, which is the last, an 8.23%. So as you can see, we have had rate increases in our community since 19, and that's a huge lift for people who are through. Yeah, you have the COVID years. You've got increase in costs, and so this is a huge lift for citizens. But we are at the last part of that plan. Our loan that we took out, have to repay that loan. That's the SRF. It was a low interest rate, and we are in the process of doing so. So this was the actual vote, and the citizens voted for that cost to be spread out over 7 years. We're also supplementing funding in a couple of ways. One is we seek out grant funding, and we got $6 million in grants for this project. Also the utility impact fees. The revenue projection there is $1 million to $1.5 million per year that we can supplement expansion of the system. This is where we're at with the utility impact fees, and we have 4.2, and that program has just been around since 22. So I want to note this, that we did a survey of 21 cities in the area and what their rates are. And I've done a lot of research, and this has been really helpful. I hope you find this helpful too. So Nampa has in water rates, domestic water rates, we have the second lowest water rate out of those 21 cities. With this, you see kind of the red up there, is it red? That is our sewer or our wastewater rate. And even with our $210 million expansion, we are number 6 in rates, the lowest rates, 6 lowest rates in the area after we've done all these improvements. And so yes, Mayor.
Can I ask you a quick question, though? The number that you have right there is different than the number on the last slide. It says $40 is what the rate is for sewer. The last slide said 60-something. Can you explain that?
Let me explain that.
Thank
So when we had to do apples and apples with these other cities. And so we took a different volume of water based on those cities just to come to an equal comparison. So we feel like we went through this with our water, our Treasure Valley Water Group, and everybody turned it in, and we all kind of sent it back to utility billing. We played with the numbers. This is a comparable number, and that's why I wanted to test it.
Based on actual usage, in the same usage for all of us?
Yes,
for
it was a
everyone.
comparable
That's why
number
this
here,
is,
yes.
Okay.
So we may pay a little bit more, a little bit less, but the number is equitable as far as the 21 cities. I also want to add, when you add these together, so here's the thing with us being in the upper end of the lowest rate still with our sewer, that's after we've done all these improvements. And a lot of the cities have not had to bite off those huge requirements from the EPA. And for instance, Middleton right now, they're planning a $65 million expansion of the plant. Ours is done, we got in early, so I think it's a testament to it was a hard lift, it was a requirement, but as far as taxpayers are concerned, now we can flatline that and we can stay at minor inflationary increases with the system, and we're really in a great place. This is the proposed rate increase, and again, gosh, I got three different numbers. It's 8.28. Thank you. 8.28 is the number. This is the typical rate increase sheet, and it's depending on S1, S2, S3 are different classes within the rate structure. We track the overall funding of our fund balance through this, and again, we're trying to maintain a fund balance of around 12 to 14 million a year because of the expansion of the plant. They're much more expensive improvements now that we have. So with that, I'll stand for questions. And yes, here, Mayor, City Council.
Yeah, Jeff, really great job. And you know, something too, I commend you because I did meet with Jacobs. Jeff and I were with them this last week, and the fact that we finished that project on time and in budget, and I know you've already shared this, but it's massive. And they had extremely high compliments for our staff and the team there, the work that's been done. I just want to say you're all to be commended and good job. I'm thrilled that we're past the 16% increases that we've lived with, but I do appreciate the fact that we've kept our word. Amy, you were part of this at the very beginning. We set forth this plan, and this is what we shared with our citizens. The increase, and then coming to this year and being back to where we said would be. I'm really pleased with that. I hate to do any more increase at all, but we've stayed true and we've accomplished what we intended. So, and Randy, thank you for you, because you've served on this committee the entire time. Thank you so much.
I just remember the night when you asked if anybody was interested in sitting on the committee for the wastewater treatment upgrades, and nobody raised their hands. But
you did.
I did. Promises made and promises delivered. That's the main thing that I think we need to focus on. Your work has been commendable. All the people that have been involved in the process. It's just been a joy to be a fly on the wall watching this happen, to pin you down with questions every now and then, but good job, really good job.
Thank you.
Are there any other comments? Questions? Okay. Thank you so much. So this is a public hearing, and
Madam Mayor, we do not have any advanced signups for this item.
is there anyone this evening that had intended to testify that did not get signed up and that would like to testify this evening? Seeing none, do we have any additional questions for Jeff? Hearing none, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
What is the will of the council?
Mayor, I'd like to make the motion, if that's okay. It's been a long process. We went before the community to ask for the potential of this happening over a gradual increase as far as of rates, and it's a joy to be at the end of that increase. So I would recommend approving the 8.28% increase for fiscal year 2025 for wastewater rates and fees, effective November 1st, 2024, and authorize the mayor to sign the resolution.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Pingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
I'm wondering, do we have anyone signed up for the budget amendment? Because Doug, I'm thinking I may let fire go first. They've been sitting here and you can't leave anyway. So is there anyone signed up for the budget amendment public hearing?
Yes.
There is. Is there?
We have two people.
For the budget. Okay, you're here, Doug. You're on. We will move to 8.4 on the agenda. Sorry, Kirk. This is an action item. This is the public hearing to approve the proposed FY25 first budget amendment. Doug, thank you for providing the staff report.
Mayor, councilors, I am presenting to you the First Amendment for fiscal 2025. We typically don't go this early, but the budgetary process kind of dictated that we do this and get a couple things out of the way. It's a fairly straightforward request. I'll go through the individual items very quickly and then allow for time for questions. The very first line is the ARPA line. This is the $233,650 we designated to use ARPA interest to fund the remaining portion of VRT. Capital projects for facilities, this is the U Nichols flooring of $134,626. Council previously approved this amount. We're just amending it and rolling it from 24 into 25. The development services admin of $78,920 is to hire a new position, an admin position for Mark Stoyer. Golf, $296,668 is the combined Centennial and Ridgecrest Golf repayment loan for the $3 million loan given to the golf course. The grant operations for PD is they received a $170,000 grant for a fixed-wing drone. The next line is related to it. There is a $15,862 cost for travel and training, apparently to the Netherlands, for grant funding for the training and the pickup of the fixed-wing drone. Streets has $232,320,000 for the Safe Streets and For All grant project. The council approved on 10/7. Impact fees, and this item will show up later in an action item in the council tonight, $1,245,712 for the Locust Land and State Highway 45. And then Streets has an additional grant match of $58,080 on that. And those are the new items. There's a small amount of rollovers. The next two are $10,000 and $55,000 for the airport stairs. That's a rollover from 2024. The Fort Idaho Center, this one is something I think the council has yet to vote on formally, completely, for the $154,000 for the horse stalls. And then the second line is just the funding mechanism to get that money available in the capital fund. So that brings an amendment to $2,838,000 for the year. Out of that, $2,023,006 is coming from fund balance, and only $15,862 will be addition to our budget, and that will have to come out of the fund balance as well. But that's the only increase to the spending, really. And that is the amendment presented for fiscal 2025.
Thank you, Doug. Council, do you have any questions? Yes, Councilman Haverfield.
Sorry. I was just wondering about the appropriateness of making a motion on this item in advance of approving the items that are business items.
If I could, Mayor, the intent here is to allow for the budget, not the approval of the item. Okay. So if you allow for the budget and then later decide you don't want to approve the item, the budget doesn't go anywhere. It just goes stale.
So the line item amount, what happens to that line item amount of money?
It does not get used unless council decides later to reappropriate it for something else.
Okay. So are we talking about increases then to, some of these are obviously rollovers, there are some values there.
The single biggest item, the impact fees on 1.2 million, that is from impact fees. So it's not it's using the existing fees we already have, just bringing more into the budget. The remainder are coming from interest or grants to fund this. So the only new cost to us is the $15,862.
Okay. All right. I can deal with that.
Are there any other questions? I would like to make a quick comment. The Salvation Army is here tonight, and we had talked about the potential of identifying funding for Salvation Army. The fact that it's not in the budget amendment does not mean it's not going to happen. It did not have to be in this budget amendment. We still haven't finalized the ARPA dollars that we could possibly use, but the fact that it's not in this budget amendment doesn't mean it's not going to happen. And it doesn't have to be in this budget amendment for it not to happen. So, excuse me?
So, Mayor, can you then elaborate, or Doug, when that can be discussed and funding allocated for that, if it's not a part of this budget amendment? Uh-oh, Crystal, off on you.
We've had discussion in the past with legal about the appropriate use of amendments, and what legal advises is to try and create the budget in such a way that we avoid the large budgetary amendments. But a small budget amendment, such as we're talking for the $35,000 for them, can be given at any time during the course of the year. So should you meet in a later council meeting and decide to fund that at whatever level, we would add that to a subsequent amendment.
Okay, so it'd be a subsequent amendment. All right, thank you.
Thank you for the clarity, and I'm sorry I started coughing. I apologize. Okay, if there are no further questions, we will step into public hearing at this time. Thank you, Doug.
Madam Mayor, our first speaker is Allison Struck.
Allison Struck, 403 12th Avenue South, Nampa. Representing the Salvation Army of Nampa. I appreciate the clarifying comments. That's largely while I've been here tonight. We also just finished our own budget process, and we are also 2 weeks into a new budget and doing an amendment. So I can appreciate this process and the discouragement to continue having amendments as well. I just want to make sure that we're discussing this in real time. It's cold. There's a couple of nights this week that are going to be below freezing, and I have an obligation to let both the staff that we will hire for the season know when our season will start and when it will end. More importantly, really to me, I have an obligation to let the families who come into the shelter know when our season will start and when it will end. So I respect that you have the authority to change the amendments as needed. But we have to start this season knowing what our budget looks like the same way that you do, so that we are meeting our own financial goals for the year, as well, most importantly, of meeting the obligation to the families. And I know I don't need to remind you, I know you know, but the school district tells us there are probably 1,800 children sleeping in cars or RVs without power. Our 12 rooms feels very small, but it feels much better than nothing when it comes to kids and their parents that are struggling to make ends meet. We are working very closely with other agencies on getting people into permanent supportive housing and rapid rehousing, but we have some families that just aren't ready, and they need to come to our shelter where we can provide 3 meals a day, where we can help make sure the kids get to school, where we can talk about counseling and substance abuse issues and all of those things that come with case management, and the benefit of those families being in our facility where we can see them 5, 6, 7 days a week is hard to overstate the importance and the value of that. So for me, I'm under a time crunch to get these people hired and to get these beds filled. These beds are empty, and they don't need to be. We need to get families into these beds. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Madam Mayor, our next speaker is Margie Potter.
I'll bring it down a little lower. Margie Potter, 1811 North Cobble Way in Nampa. And my question was more, it's kind of on the same as Captain Allison was speaking to, is I was under the impression that some of those ARPA funds expire at a certain, is it the end of this year? Sorry, I mean, you can answer that after. I don't know how this works. But that was my impression, and so I didn't want that to go unnoticed. And as Captain Allison said, you know, she could add that into the front end of her budget if she knew that was there, and make those amendments as well to the divisional headquarters of the Salvation Army. And the other thing we had talked about was maybe some interest or something, the money coming from that. So I just wanted some clarification. I didn't see it. You know, I'm the big nerd that reads the packet too, so I just didn't see that in there. And I know that you guys are vested in this as well, and so you wouldn't let it go, but it was worth mentioning in a public hearing, so thanks.
Thank you, Marjorie.
Madam Mayor, we do not have anyone else.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that had intended to testify that did not get to testify? Seeing none. Closing comments, I'll just provide the response to Marjorie, to your response. We don't have the clarification yet on the available funds out of the existing ARPA dollars. That's something that we will be finalizing. And yes, there are interest dollars, so we will figure it out. And I think my hope would be, if council's okay with it, that it would be possibly on the November 4th agenda, at the very latest, the November 18th, but hopefully it can be as soon as the November 4th agenda. We just don't have the notification on all of what you're talking about. So thank you. Thank you so much for your comments, though. Okay, are there any other additional questions for Doug? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? What is the will of the council?
Well, may I make the motion to approve the amended budget and the ordinance with the City of Nampa for the October 1st, 2024, ending in September 30, 2025.
Okay,
And-
so on mine it does say first reading of ordinance, but he's saying, so you are just saying, let's just say that you approve the proposed FY25 first budget amendment, and then we'll do the ordinance next.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the proposed FY25 first budget amendment. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
At this time, we will have the reading of the ordinance adopting the FY25 first budget amendment, and it is requested to pass under suspension of rules.
An ordinance of the City of Nampa, Idaho, amending the appropriations ordinance for the fiscal year beginning October 1, 2024, and ending September 30th, 2025, appropriating additional monies that are to be received by the City of Nampa, Idaho, and providing an effective date.
Make a motion to pass the ordinance as read under suspension of rules.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Thank you, Doug. Okay, on to our last public hearing of the night, because we will have a vote on postponing or continuing items 8.6 and 8.7 next, but we're ready for 8.5 on the agenda. This is an action item. It's a comprehensive plan text amendment to revise Chapter 7 for accurate representation and planning with the fire district for the Nampa Fire Protection District, City of Nampa. This has been continued from September 16th, and our applicant, Captain Chief. Oh my goodness. My head went Captain Kirk. That just like, oh my goodness. And then I'm trying to backtrack off of that. It's late. I am so
Mayor, you
sorry.
just gave away my Halloween costume.
I can't believe it. In my head, I did that.
No, thank you,
Hi, Kirk.
Mayor and Council.
Chief Carpenter.
Appreciate the time. As presented in September, it was identified that there was some formatting issues, as well as just really defining that this is the Nampa Fire District. We have it often, just because we're Nampa Fire Department, we often don't reflect the district part in our legal documents, as we should. So those requested changes have been made, but not necessarily to the content of the plan of moving forward in the comprehensive plan. Just the changes that needed to be reflected with Station 6 and all the stuff that's coming in the future.
Thank you. Council, do you have any questions? I know that you had visited with Councilman Bills, correct?
I think Ron
did.
Chief Johnson.
Okay, and answered
visited with
any
Councilman
questions?
Bills.
I would like to ask Councilman Bills, do you have any questions for Chief?
Mayor, I don't have questions. I have a comment.
Okay.
Page 639 in our packet, page 639 in the packet, it references paragraph 6. And since it's a comprehensive plan document, but it states to have proper response time and subjection, so because it's in the comp plan, which is supposed to guide all planning and fee and other issues, when a phrase like proper response time is a nebulous phrase, it just drew concern for me because it doesn't really define then what's expected out of the future planning, future requirements from any new development, et cetera.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Bills, for that comment. I have a question. So, Rodney, this is actually for you. We are going to be doing an update to our comprehensive plan in the immediate future. And so is that an issue that would be resolved at that time since we are embarking upon that? Or is that something that needs to be addressed or resolved this evening?
So I just want to make sure I'm clear on that. So the request tonight be resolved with the update to the comprehensive plan, or Councilman Bill's concerns about it?
Bills, no, not the request tonight, but Councilman Bills had a question about page 639 and the fact that the response times, and I'm wondering which is a little different than what we are here for this evening. We're here to just make some changes to the language regarding the district. So my question is related to response times, if that's something that we could address in the upcoming comprehensive plan that we're getting ready to work on.
Mayor, that's absolutely true. We can address that in the comprehensive plan update as we begin that this fiscal year. We've got the budget to start that process. And as you have stated, that was very accurately stated, that this request tonight didn't include that change. And so we're just addressing their needs for their CIP changes and the recommended changes that Councilman Bills gave us, and we updated the language for tonight's meeting.
They can be taken into consideration since we're embarking upon that anyway. So tonight, hopefully that answers that question. We'll stay focused on the action item this evening, which is very specific to what was in our packet.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Councilman Bills. We'll definitely I understand his question, and we can put some more clarity as to the reasoning of putting something like that in there, because we do try and maintain the current level of service that we have, thus the CIP. The intent is to maintain or improve our current level of service and not allow it to fall as it has in the past.
Great. That'll be good discussion as we move forward. Any other questions for Chief Carpenter? You think I could get it right after?
That's going to be Captain Kirk for a while now. He gets stuck in there and start doing that.
There we go. Okay. If there are no further questions, thank you.
Thank you.
This is a public hearing, and I'm sorry. I guess we have the art. Sorry, Doug. Come on up. I'm forgetting there's a staff report. Excuse me.
Thanks, Mayor. I'll try and keep it.
Bless you.
Thank you. Good things come in threes. Yeah. Mayor and Council, Doug Critchfield, Principal Planner. So just reviewing the changes there. Mostly these changes have to do with the change of the name to the Nampa Fire Protection District, but there's a few data items that need to be changed as well. So in Chapter 7, where this resides, there is some data that relates to the services that are available here that receive impact fees. So there are 3 areas within the city of Nampa that receive those impact fees: police, parks, and streets. So the city of Nampa does collect those impact fees as a cooperative effort with the Nampa Fire District, and the Fire Protection District then contracts for its own impact fee study and capital improvement program. So that was a clarity that Councilmember Bills had brought forward when we had spoken, and that'll be added to the comprehensive plan. There's some mention here again of just changing the name, so I'll go through there, through those. You can see in 7322, 7324, again, changes to that. A little bit of data, population data, contract employees. In the comprehensive plan update, we will probably not include information about how many contract employees, given that those change, and then we would have to come back and change the comp plan. And so those will probably not be added in the future. And then in 7325, same name change. There was a little bit of information in here in 733 about the different emergency medical services that are provided and those that are deleted from the comprehensive plan. There's a map on Exhibit 7.1. We've added fire station number 6 to that map. In Exhibit 7.2, there are several changes to the matrix here that gives details about each of the fire stations and how they're staffed, and also what the services are that they provide. And that was provided in your staff report on each of those stations. And then in Exhibit 7.3, there's, again, we've located fire station number 6. The heat map shows this, kind of the service area and the improvement to that service area. This used to be a yellow to red in this area, and it's now green, which means that it's a faster response time. There was also a proposal to put a fire station on the corner of Smith and Midland. That's been removed. There's a fire station proposed in Caldwell that will handle that area. And then objective number 6 in our strategies and objectives, we just added removed strategy 6 and added strategy 7 to encourage the fire protection district to construct new fire facilities as required to maintain the necessary response times. And then we removed action item number 3 to fund, construct, and staff new facilities because that's now under the purview of the fire protection district. We did receive some comments from the district and support, and there was no comments from other agencies or by the public. There is state law allowing us to, the council, coming from the Planning and Zoning Commission and the council, to update the comprehensive plan. And the findings are also stated in your staff report, again stating primarily that these are necessary for the update of the Fire Protection's Capital Improvement Program. And so the Planning and Zoning Commission recommendation was to approve. And I have a motion here in front of you. So,
Thank you so much. Are there any questions for Doug? Doug, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, now we'll go to public hearing.
Madam Mayor, we do not have any advanced signups for this item.
Is there anyone here that had intended to testify on this particular matter this evening? Seeing none. Chief Carpenter, do you have any closing comments? Are there any questions for him before we close? Seeing none, I would stand for a motion to close public hearing.
Moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, what is the will of the council?
Madam Mayor, I move to approve the comprehensive plan text amendment to revise Chapter 7 with representation and planning information with the Nampa Fire Protection District with all conclusions of law.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Bills?
Yes.
Everfield?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Gula?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Chief, thank you for waiting this evening. I appreciate it, and thank you for your work. It's greatly appreciated. Okay, at this time, that concludes our public hearings. We're going to move back through our... Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so ready to keep moving. Here we go. I do need a motion to continue, and could we put that in one motion? Both items 8.6 and 8.7 to a date certain of December 16th?
So moved.
Second.
It has been moved to continue item 8.6 and item 8.7 to date certain of December 16th. Well, any discussion?
Here we have for
Oh,
second.
man. We have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Jingula?
Yes.
Bills?
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Okay, so I'm going to do better as we go through the end of this. Okay, we're going to go back to 7.3, which is a new business item. And 7.3 is to authorize the mayor to sign a purchase agreement with Chinook Stalls for the purchase and delivery of 60 used horse stalls for the Fort Idaho Center Horse Park in the amount of $154,000. This was reviewed by City Attorney Todd Lakey and funded from FY24 rollover capital funding, which we just approved the amendment to our agenda, into our budget amendment to roll those funds over. So Jeff, go ahead and come forward because I think there are going to be some questions.
Mayor,
Yes.
maybe some of the things that he's ready to answer. I already talked to Andrew Luther about the state of the stalls themselves. It's they're powder coat finished, so they're like new, which was important for me to hear that. And it's from a vendor that is a very highly reputable vendor with canvas covers on top. So to me, it sounded like a really good deal.
You want to make a motion on that, Mr. Haverfield?
I will. I'd make the motion to, which one is that? That's 7.3. Authorize the mayor to sign the purchase agreement as listed in our packet for the Chinook stalls for $154,000.
I'll second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Is there discussion? Seeing none, roll call.
Chingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Thank you. Item 7.4, Jeff, thank you for staying here. It is an action item. It's to authorize the mayor to sign a resolution implementing the FY25 decrease to wastewater hookup fees of 2.44% effective November 1, 2024.
Mayor,
Yes.
I move to authorize mayor to sign a resolution implementing FY25 decrease to wastewater hookup fees of 2.44% effective November 1st, 2024.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Mayor Kling, I had the honor of talking to Jeff and Mr. Bills about this, so let's do it.
Okay, roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Chingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Item 7.5 is an action item. It's to authorize the mayor and the public works director to sign a task order with Paragon Engineering for the construction, engineering, and inspection for the 16th Avenue South and 19th Avenue South water line replacement in the amount not to exceed $229,725. This was approved in the FY25 budget and funded through ARPA.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Chingula.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Item 7.6 is an action item. It's to authorize the mayor and the public works director to sign a Phase 2 final design task order amendment with Keller Associates for the wastewater treatment plant headworks replacement project, which is Group G, in the amount of $4,723,063. This is approved in the FY25 budget.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Chingula.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Item 7.7 is an action item. It's the award the bid and authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Erminger Construction, Inc. for the annual lift station Skyview upgrade in the amount of $492,801. And this was approved in our FY25. It's pending approval in a second budget amendment in FY25.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Chingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
7.8 is an action item. It's to award the bid and authorize the mayor to sign the contract with Idaho Dirt Company for the FY25 culvert replacement in the amount of $288,452.92.
So moved.
$288,453.92. $53.92.
Second that. I have a comment, Madam Mayor.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded. Discussion.
That, looking at the bid spread on that, Jeff, I was a little concerned. There's a big discrepancy there. Do you feel confident that they're able to get this work done for that amount of money?
Yeah, Mayor, Councilman Reynolds, we had the same concerns, so we followed up with the engineer and had him go back through the numbers, and then we called the contractor. They validated their numbers. So we think it's a reputable bid, and we want to move forward with it. Hopefully, it's a sign of, a little bit of
Things to come.
competition.
Yeah. Okay, thank you for qualifying that bid. I appreciate that.
Question?
Yes.
And again, they're fully bonded and insured?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep. Yes, sir.
Any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
Item 7.9 is an action item, and this is to authorize the mayor to sign the construction cooperative agreement between the Idaho Transportation Department and the City of Nampa for the construction. Thank you, Jeff. Appreciate it. Construction of State Highway 45 and Locust Lane intersection in the amount not to exceed $1,268,080.70.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded, and I just have to say, this is so exciting. And Crystal, thank you so much for asking the question, for going back to them and getting this moved up. Awesome work, really appreciated. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
7.10 is an action item. This is to authorize the mayor to sign the cooperative agreement between the City of Nampa and Valley Regional Transit for the transportation funding in the amount of $705,506 for the FY25, but for FY25 as approved under the General Government Contractual Services Mass Transit FY25 annual budget and pending the first budget amendment, which we just walked through, of ARPA interest dollars.
So moved.
Again.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion?
Question?
Yes.
Go ahead.
You can go ahead.
Doug, the funding is strictly ARPA dollars? Or is that just a gap difference from what was approved?
There are two funding issues. The ARPA VRT was $232,000 to augment the amount we budgeted from general government, and that's met the entirety of the regular ARPA budget for the year. There's a separate issue with the grant monies coming, but
If I could answer, in the front page of our packet, under the second bullet or third bullet, it says the City Council adopted the FY25 annual budget from GenGov of $471,856. Then we authorized $233,000 from ARPA, which totals $705,506, which is what is in this document that we're signing. You have two funding sources in there, which are included in our packet.
So I guess, I'm sorry, Mayor, from my perspective, I don't think that I voted to approve the difference when we were going through the budget process. That's what I was asking for clarity on.
that's coming from the ARPA interest monies that we've been accumulating since we received the ARPA funds.
Okay.
So,
And this is an annual amount going forward?
well, I don't know what
We voted-
26 will be, but this is for 2025. In 2026, we'll get to revisit the issue again.
And I think you're right, Councilman. I believe we had 2 no votes.
Right.
We had 4 yes votes. And that's where we are today, is approving what we did already approve to move forward with.
I just don't recall voting for the increase. I voted for the amount that was in the budget, but not for the increase that was added after the fact. So
That is
I
correct.
just want to be,
Well, that was the amendment tonight. In the original 2025 budget, we only approved the $471,000. The $233,000 was in tonight's amendment.
Right, but you stated that we don't, it does not necessarily have approved the line items here, even though we approved the budget amendment.
Well, we did
that's-
approve it.
yeah.
The council, you voted no, to be candid,
Yeah,
but the
going back to the
council,
budget, yeah.
the council approved that particular
Correct.
vote to move forward with it, and we approved it before VRT so that they knew that it was coming in a budget amendment. We couldn't sign this until the budget amendment, but there were 4 votes yes and 2 votes no.
I just want to be consistent.
Yeah. And so that was correct, yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And Mayor, my comments were just to bring light, I know you all read your packet, but they're planning on an increase in 2026 to $862,948. The only piece that gives me pause, before that says it does not bind the city to commit to these funds, but in the next section, it does say the city commits to consider funding requests, work in good faith with the authority to develop funding strategies for the forecasted requests. That gives me pause on what's considered good faith, and the attorney over here can explain that, but for me, either way, I was going to vote no, but this gives me additional pause because we should be looking at alternative methods, in my opinion, and so they could challenge us just with the language in the contract.
I don't know if our legal counsel has any comment on that, because this was reviewed by Todd Lakey. I know you didn't have the opportunity to review it. Is your mic on? Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. And those provisions are standard provisions in contracts because typically, city council can't bind the council to appropriations beyond the fiscal year. So they include that to basically encourage you to try and negotiate in good faith if you choose to renew or, sign a contract with them next year.
So what I think I hear you saying is that it does not put us at risk because the proper language is in there, because we cannot, this council cannot bind a future council ever to that funding request, correct?
That is correct, Mayor.
Thank you. Okay, so we do have a motion on the table. Is there any further a motion and a second? Is there any further discussion? Seeing none?
Mayor?
Oh, yes?
So I'd just like to reiterate, this was a patch-type deal during the budget time, and so it should not give indication, at least from my perspective, that this dollar amount is ongoing. It was a one-time situation for this year to give VRT a chance to figure out other issues.
Thank you for those comments. Agreed. Thank you. Any further discussion? Roll call.
Jingula.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Oh, not you. Haverfield.
No.
Griffin.
No.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Reynolds.
Yes.
4 in favor, 2 opposed, motion carries.
Thank you. So 711 is an action item. It's to authorize the mayor and the public works director to sign 2 things. One is the local professional services agreement with the HDR Engineering and the Idaho Transportation Department, and 2, to sign a task order with HDR Engineering for the Reconnecting Accessibility, Improving Safety and Equity Project, which is the RAISE grant, for the total cost of $4,799,721. This was reviewed by Todd Lakey, and it is pending approval in a second budget amendment in FY25.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez.
Yes.
Bills.
Yes.
Haverfield.
Yes.
Griffin.
Yes.
Jingula.
Yes.
Reynolds. Yes. All in favor, motion carries.
712 was pulled from the agenda per our vote earlier at the beginning of the meeting. 713 is an action item. It's to authorize the facilities to proceed with the construction of the City of Nampa Airport Terminal Stairway in the amount not to exceed $55,000.
So moved.
Second.
It's been, yes.
Will this be going before that capital group to make sure what they're doing out there is vetted properly?
We certainly can have it do that. I believe the staircase is already ordered. Is that correct? It is ordered, Crystal?
It's ordered. I thought it was, Mayor, in talking to you, I thought it was already built, and we're just getting it as a used stair that's going to be repurposed in this location, or is it a brand-new stair that's built to fit into the location?
Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, Facilities was able to procure a pre-manufactured metal staircase for $2,500 from a salvage yard.
Okay. My concern, obviously, is the angle of the stringers. If they match up with the height difference between floor to floor, if it can be accommodated properly without having treads that are not properly sloped. So that was my only question with the mayor. So
what we will do, Crystal, is make sure that we bring it, I think we have a facilities meeting scheduled maybe next week. If we could just have all the information you have, and we'll take it to that meeting so that you have the opportunity to review.
yeah,
Does that work?
again, just to look over your shoulder and make sure that we're getting something that truly has value.
And
Thank you.
Madam Mayor?
Yes.
Just a comment. I don't remember who I was talking to about this, but my understanding was it was a company out of Emmett, and it was measured and fit to this location already, so I assume that it's the right thing.
Mayor, Councilman Reynolds, I'm not sure where the company is located, but it was measured and fit prior to coming to council.
Mayor, as a follow-up then, Crystal, was this a stair that was pulled out of an existing location?
Mayor, Councilman Haverfield, I don't have the answer to that because it was purchased from like a salvage yard. I assume that it was from a previous location, but it was inspected and deemed good.
Again, my concern is floor to floor. If it's slightly off, if it fits, so.
So we'll have those, thank you for the advance warning. Crystal, you can ask some questions, and we'll bring it before that meeting coming up next week. Thank you.
Good price.
Yes. Okay, so there was a motion and a second to authorize this. Is there any further discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mills?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ingula?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
714 is an action item. It's to authorize the Senior Public Works Director to sign the Economic Development Administration Financial Assistance Award Form accepting a grant for Northside Boulevard Improvements Phase 2 roadway construction project in the amount of $6,120,740.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion? Roll call.
Rodriguez?
Yes.
Mills?
Yes.
Haverfield?
Yes.
Griffin?
Yes.
Ingula?
Yes.
Reynolds?
Yes.
All in favor, motion carries.
So there's no unfinished business and no executive session, so that concludes our meeting this evening, and I would stand for a motion to adjourn.
Second.
Mayor.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.